His staff. Thanks, Supervisor. You'd recognize her.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. First order of business. Robert, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
And every heart. Repeat. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Robert. Okay, and will you please have a roll call?
Director Quady.
Here.
Director McMillan.
Here.
Director Pacala.
Yes.
Director Robert. Director Avila.
Here, we have a forum. All right, up next is public comments. This portion of the agenda may be utilized by any member of the public to address the board of directors on any matter within the jurisdiction of the board that does not appear on the agenda and on matters that are on the agenda but are not designated as action items. Depending on the subject matter, the board of directors may be unable to respond at this time or until a specific topic is placed at the agenda at a future Calleguas board meeting. In accordance with the Ralph and Brown Act, please limit remarks to 3 minutes.
We do have a speaker card from Dave Peterson, the general manager at Las Virgenes. In order to put his comments in proper context, I would like to suggest that we have him provide his public comment on the agenda at the time of the agenda item. It is not an action item tonight, but the discussion does impact Las Virgenes. And so I recommend we handle it that way unless legal has concerns.
Okay, absolutely. All right, would any member of the public online like to make comment? Please raise your hand. Okay, and with that, we are moving on to the next item. We have items to be added to the agenda.
Items.
Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? Any recommended changes?
No recommended changes, except I would like to pull item 5.
Six.
H, right? G.
6G.
Okay,
And if I could request that we move item 8A4 up, since we have 2 guests from Las Virgenes and we have a fairly lengthy agenda, so we don't keep them here for several hours ahead of the item that they're.
8A.
So general
Eight.
managers.
Yeah, 4.
4. Okay, so I will move that specific item.
4. Maybe we can take it
Yeah.
after consent.
I'll move it up to before, right after presentations.
All right, that works too.
Okay.
And then I was requesting to pull a couple items from the consent calendar.
Or do you have questions on them?
I guess separate out so we can discuss.
Okay, which ones?
The
B?
no, D and E.
B?
Well, hang on.
And I will be abstaining from December 17th meeting.
Okay, well, for now, we'll pull them when we get there. Let's go on to presentations. 5A, presentation of Association of California Water Agencies Joint Power Insurance Authorities, President's Special Recognition Award.
Yes, Tricia Ferguson, our manager of human resources and risk management, will be handling this item.
So I'm happy to get to kick the meeting off with some positive awards. Calleguas was awarded the Aqua JPIA President's Special Recognition Award, and not one, not two, but all 3 of their risk programs this past year. So this is a combination of loss from 2021 to 2024. So it's combined 3-year period. This includes general liability, property liability, and workers' compensation. So this is a really outstanding recognition. It has to do with, it's given to agencies that have a loss ratio of 20% or less in the previous 3 years. So this is a testament to the district's commitment to safety, as well as training and our operations and maintenance programs that keep our properties operating smoothly. So I'm grateful for the recognition, and I want to thank the board and district staff for making safety and maintenance a priority. I have awards if you guys want to Told them I have to do a photo op, but.
All right, Arlen says, all right. I just want to say thank you to all staff for, safe practices and ensuring that, we're all safe and doing the right thing when we're on the field. Specifically, O&M that does a lot of the more dangerous tasks out there. Please thank your staff for us. Any other,
I just like to comment that the reflects on the type of culture we have and the work culture that the staff has built over so many years and seems to really connect with the safety culture that we really want to make sure that everyone goes home just as safe and sound as they were. So
absolutely.
thank you all staff.
Good.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
We were helping Jackie out. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a funny picture where we're all the same height. Different heights.
We're blurry.
Or blurry. All right, up next, I am moving 8 Alpha 4, discussion regarding setting a formal policy establishing the district's responsibility to extend the salinity management pipeline to dischargers. Fernando Baez, Manager of Engineering.
Yeah, and we may have moved this item while Fernando was out of the room, so he may not have had any warning about this because he was sitting here with us for it. So what I would like to propose, we do here. I think it'd be better to do the presentation than do comment. That's what I was gonna propose. That's
Okay. All right, sounds good. So we'll have the comment after the presentation.
Okay, 1 second. We're going to have our right-of-way counsel joining us remotely and just asking him to log in.
No, this is not,
This is not the,
this is the SMP presentation.
sorry, thank you.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. Excellent. All right, let me just share my screen here.
Or we could just make our Las Virgenes guest enjoy our very exciting meeting.
Sorry, I know you were doing us a favor by stepping out.
Sorry
Help out with.
and I am starting to share my screen. Let's see here.
I take full responsibility for the delay.
One second here while it goes into presentation mode. Excellent, great. Okay, good evening, Board of Directors. Okay, before you, we want to present a question regarding policy for discussion tonight. Specifically, setting a formal policy establishing the district's responsibility to extend the SMP to dischargers. So cover some background on the salinity management pipeline. Currently, our system is approximately 22 miles long, composed of 18-inch to 48-inch diameter pipe, made up of PVC, HDP, and welded steel pipe. We have a control tank out in the fringes of the city of Camarillo that sets the pressure gradient or the section of the SMP that is flat across the Oxnard Plain. We also have a pressure sustaining station that works with that control tank to allow that water to move out into the ocean. We also have a spill response trailer that our O&M staff parks at the SMP control tank, and that is used to perform any cleanup when we do have a spill brine along the SMP. And we also have emergency repair materials over at well field number 1 that are used to, again, address any emergency repairs that need to be performed on the SMP. We have a permitted capacity of approximately 19.1 million gallons per day. The allowable discharges on the SMP include tertiary recycled water, groundwater, potable water, and brine from the membrane treatment of those above treatment processes. We have several existing dischargers. These include PHWA brackish water plant, Camarosa's water reclamation facility, Camarosa's Round Mountain water treatment plant as well, and the Camarillo North Pleasant Valley desalter, which was just a few years ago put into service. And those are shown here on this map. Current efforts include design of three-phase, and that's approximately a 5.1 mile long extension. It will be composed of 14 and 24-inch diameter pipe. The engineer's estimate currently sits at $26.5 million. And the good news is we did receive a grant from the USBR in the amount of $7.6 million. And the schedule, we are due to wrap up design at the end of this year. Dischargers who have discharge agreements with the district. Currently, we have several of those. AmCal Farm Worker Housing at a next board meeting, we'll be presenting this item to you, but we executed an agreement with this developer who is building farm worker housing out in the Sumas area. We just wrapped up the design and just received the deposit from the developer a week ago. So next step is to call for bids on that at a future board meeting. The city of Camarillo also signed an agreement to discharge their recycled water from their wastewater treatment plant. And that design has been nearing completion. We're waiting for the city to give us the go-ahead to wrap up design and call for bids. And we have the Los Virgenes Municipal Water District - Triumphal Water Sanitation District JPA Pure Water Project. And they are in preliminary design, which we have staff and members from the JPA here attending tonight. And we also have a agreement with a farmer group, the Mars Farms. And we are in process of designing the S&P discharge station for that project as well. Most recently, we had Amgen submit an application to be served by the S&P. They submitted it last year and are eager to start that design process. Obviously, the topic of tonight's discussion is how would we serve them, being that they're in the Conejo Valley area. Okay, so a little bit more on the LVTWSD JPA Pure Water Brine Line. That project is underway. There are potential use by future dischargers in the Conejo Valley area because that brine line, as shown here, it's a little hard to tell, but this is where Amgen is located in Thousand Oaks. Their 12-inch, I believe, brine line will be running through the city of Thousand Oaks. And just in front of Amgen's campus into the Camarillo area where it will connect to the SMP Phase 3. They have a guaranteed maximum price for the reach that we are interested in of approximately $19 million. That does not include design, permitting, or street restoration. And that has a limited additional capacity of 250 gallons per minute. The entire capacity is about 1,000 gallons per minute, and 250 of those are maybe available for excess use. Want to point back on to Ordinance 19. This ordinance covers the rules and regulations for the use of the SMP, including allowable discharges, which I mentioned. It also talks about the rates and charges and the water quality requirements that our dischargers are required to comply with. It also requires the applicant to enter into an agreement again for construction and use of the SMP, and the applicant pays for the design and construction of that SMP discharge station. And here's just a cross-section of what that discharge station typically looks like: a large vault with a meter and potentially some other instruments inside that vault. So policy issues that we'd like to pose for this board. There is no official policy for when Calleguas will pay for and construct the SMP versus a discharger. The informal policy has been for to construct the SMP when it will serve multiple dischargers. So with Amgen's application for the SMP connection, how should Calleguas handle the portion of the SMP the LVTWSD JPA is currently pursuing? Staff recommends that staff pursue an agreement with the JPA to potentially upsize the portion of their concentrate line downstream of Amgen connection, and Calleguas take on cost responsibility for that segment as well. So with that, I'd like to open up.
Well, I think excuse me, if I can say a few things and then we can invite up LV to share their thoughts. You know, this is a kind of an outcome that I don't think anyone really conceived of when the SMP was originally developed. But in light of Amgen's patient to connect, as well as the potential for future additional connections in the area, biotechnical users, biotechnology companies, I should say. They are for profit, but they're also the economic engine of the Conejo Valley in many ways. We believe it's appropriate for Calleguas to, consistent with what we've done to date in other locations, take on responsibility for this line. Now, normally that would be us designing it and building it. In light of where Las Virgenes is contractually, I don't think we want to just suggest that they stop what they're doing and we start over. So it's kind of an unusual circumstance, but I think the most fair and efficient path forward is for the JPA and Calleguas to negotiate an arrangement for this line, this portion of the line. And then if I could invite up Las Virgenes staff, I presume Dave, to speak on this, and then we can go to board discussion and questions. Does that work?
Good evening and thank you. Good evening, President Avila and members of the board and staff. Dave Peterson, I'm the general manager of Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. One of the other hats that I wear in that role is I'm the administering agent of our Joint Powers Authority. And so the Las Virgenes Triumphal Joint Powers Authority is a partnership between Las Virgenes and the Triumphal Water and Sanitation District, which is a member agency of Calleguas. So we have this really interesting connection there. We are, as was described, we are developing and working on the largest project in our history, our Pure Water project. In December of last year, we awarded a $320 million design build contract to build this potable reuse project, which is essentially an effort to diversify our water supply and develop a new drought resilient supply for our area that will include Triumphal as the 30% beneficiary of that project. Really an exciting project. It is challenging. And a couple of things I just wanted to, number one is I'm speaking in support of your staff recommendation on this. And I think there's a lot of merit to the concept. And I want to back up a little bit. First, I wanted to acknowledge and recognize how important it is that Calleguas made the investment in the salinity management pipeline. I know it is not frequently, it doesn't herald great excitement, but the fact that you made that investment, it serves as a catalyst for the entire county of Ventura and even now potentially into LA County as a catalyst to develop local water supplies. And as you each may know, one of the biggest challenges in developing a new local water supply is in treating that water, which is usually impaired in some fashion, whether it be impaired groundwater, or in the case of our project, what was once treated wastewater is we produce a brine waste that needs to be disposed of. And the prospect of building a new ocean outfall in California is one that will quickly make you run from any project. So the fact that you did that and permitted that, and then built a collection system where agencies like mine, our Joint Powers Authority, and all of your other member agencies can then in turn connect to that and have a means to dispose of that is a tremendous asset. And we're thankful for that. Interestingly, we looked at it originally as a catalyst for developing local water supply, which I believe it is. But as Christine outlined, it is also an economic engine, and that is related to the biotech sector that is really vibrant here in your service area, in particular in Thousand Oaks. And so you have Amgen, you have Takeda, you have a whole variety of pharmaceutical and biotech companies. Most of them, to do their work, they need to purify water in some fashion, make ultra pure water. And in doing that, they produce a brine waste. And because of regulatory changes, the traditional means of disposing of that is going away. And so your SMP becomes critically important for them. We learned that in working with Calleguas, as we've designed our Pure Water project, $100 million of the project, 1/3 of the award, is for our what we call our brine or reverse osmosis concentrate line. So for short, it's basically a line to connect to your SMP, and it's 14 miles. So it's quite a long ways. That pipeline traverses through a really important sector of your community where this biotech sector could really benefit from it. And we learned this through talking with Christine and her team, and also with the Greater Conejo Chamber of Commerce. Amgen is currently very interested. I think Amgen is investing some $600 million in their complex to upgrade it. So Amgen, as was already outlined, has already submitted an application for their interest to connect. We understand that Takeda is also potentially interested. And then there could be other biotech companies that would benefit from it. So it does raise the question at this point is the merits of essentially Calleguas extending the SMP further. So the further you extend the SMP, the less we build to meet. I mean, that's basically the way the arrangement works. And I think as your staff outlined, there is merit to when you have multiple dischargers is to continue the role that Calleguas has played as being the regional agency to manage the infrastructure to convey and dispose of that brine and also the revenue streams that go with that. So we think there's merit to it. We very much support the idea of working together. Christine and I have talked about hypothetically how that could work, where we could potentially continue with our construction contract, ensure that your standards are met in the portion of the work that could potentially be then deeded to Calleguas upon completion of the project, so that if you were to take over that facility, that it would be a facility that would meet the standards of Calleguas. And we look forward to continuing those discussions. I think this is an important policy decision and appreciate your support. We have always looked at Calleguas as being a partner in this project. In fact, our project would not be possible without Calleguas. We could not do this project because I have frequently said the brine disposal is the Achilles heel of a water supply project like this. This would really strengthen our partnership and the role of Calleguas in helping to facilitate the project. And last, I'll say, I realize Las Virgenes, we're not a member agency of Calleguas. We are certainly partners. We work very closely together, but Triunfo is indeed a member agency of Calleguas. And so Triunfo is a beneficiary of the project. So thank you. I'm certainly available for questions and appreciate you taking up this discussion and framing it.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open this up.
Fernando, could you quit out of the presentation so it's not occupying the screen, please?
To board member questions and comments.
Thank you.
I'm happy to throw some thoughts out there that I don't necessarily have answers to, but fodder for discussion. It's an interesting intersection of the biotech industry that we have here and the rumored expansion of the biotech industry in the coming future. So it's my two concerns that I always go back to are, one, setting precedences that we follow in the future and to look forward to what those precedences might be. And two, looking at the cost of something versus our future potential return as a fiscal responsibility to our purveyors. So now that being said, I think we pride ourselves in being on the forefront of doing the right thing for the community and setting ourselves and everyone else up for success. So, like I said, I have no answers. Those are just the concerns or topics that I'm looking at that I think are one of the things or some of the few things that should be looked at before making decisions like this. But I think overall, I would generally agree with staff's recommendation, assuming those things are, assuming we don't set precedents to say, well, someone over here 60 miles that way also wants a line, and then 150 miles that way wants another line, and then we just start adding more and more. But I guess we could cross that road when we get to it.
I also think it would be very reasonable to draw the line to being our service area.
Right. Well, but then again, if, let's say, a project outside our service area and we get approached to come up with an agreement to use excess capacity that we have, that would benefit, there's always situations, but obviously a line could be drawn in that situation. But, setting precedences, I guess, are not something to be done lightly.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Well, so I could say that, and I think the Las Virgenes crew could probably seen it coming this way, but I always cringe when I hear the word dischargers. So that's because I have a mixed bag of experience, right? So I have the industrial thing always clicking in whenever I heard dischargers. So I actually like to hear when people make it distinctly different, that it's of a potable water brine. It's a potable water, reclaim that's happening. And and I know that we have inflow standards, so that's kind of the control. But I just wanted to say that I do get nervous about industries getting all, oh boy, we get to put our industrial product wastewater in there, and that's not true.
That's not the case. And Fernando had a slide early on that defined exactly what Ordinance 19, which governs the operation of the SMP, allows to go into the SMP and what doesn't.
Very good. Yeah.
And those discharges are recycled water, potable water, groundwater, and the brine concentrate of the treatment of those.
Those are fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Director Collins.
I just have a couple of questions before I make my comments. When we talk about 14-mile long pipeline to connect to Las Virgenes. And also, Dave, you said you're looking into Calleguas building a portion of it. I'm not clear about what lengths you're talking about, how far it is, why is it a portion of it? That's what I'm.
The port, maybe I can answer this question. So they need to build a pipeline to their facility to connect for brine. What we're proposing, what staff's recommendation is a portion from where Amgen would connect on, Calleguas would take responsibility for, because that's where there would be shared use.
How long is that?
Approximately 12,000 feet.
Hold on,
12,000 feet.
12,000 feet.
Feet. Yeah, so that.
2 miles and change.
Okay.
Yes, and Las Virgenes would continue with the other,
12 miles.
yeah.
What's something like that gonna cost?
Based on the estimates they have, or I should say the contract they have with their design builder, 19 million.
19 million plus additional costs that still being resolved.
And do we have, is there a limit to the potable water discharge? You told me not to use discharge.
You have to use the word discharge. There's no way around it in this conversation.
Is there a maximum capacity of discharge that's estimated or?
Las Virgenes has, and the JPA has sized the pipeline to have some excess capacity. Based on what we know about Amgen's proposed discharge, it would be able to accommodate that, as well as potential additional biotech dischargers, but it is not unlimited. There is a, there's finite.
I guess my question is, are they limited to a certain amount and?
Oh, are they limited to discharging a certain amount to
Right.
us? The agreement, well, we have an executed discharge agreement that establishes that number.
Okay. And we weighed the revenue of, let's say, their optimal discharge versus the investment cost of the pipeline.
Of taking over that portion of the pipeline?
Well, building the extra pipeline and then,
Well,
you get revenue from the SMP and.
yes, we haven't done like a full cost benefit analysis to figure out exactly how long a payback period would be, but Amgen's proposed discharge amount is small. So I would expect that payback period to be lengthy.
Yeah, and I guess that extension wouldn't only be beneficial to Amgen, it'd be a future benefit. Those are just the numbers that I look at to kind of help me understand what's the cost benefit.
When we talk about 2 million to Amgen's facility, so the alignment goes through
20 million.
Amgen.
19 million.
2 miles long.
2 miles.
2 mile long,
Yes.
that's 19 million.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it is how many million?
100-ish total.
It's just over 101 million
Okay.
with the 14 miles.
That's their side.
Well, I'm just trying to understand the
Mhm.
details about this discussion we're having. But as we heard before, I think SMP is a great tool for all of us to produce a local water supply. And Calleguas had a great vision working with the purveyors at that time. Initially, I thought this was only going to be just for reclaimed water and also just for discharges of desalter projects. That's all the purpose was. But it has expanded. Actually, that's better for us because we can get more and more customers. As far as what type of discharge goes into it, my thoughts are as long as the permit we have from the Regional Water Quality Control Board allows that type of discharge, I would support accepting those type of discharges. Now, the other criteria I would use is if this project is developing local water supply for the region. Before we used to think about Ventura County, now we are talking about interconnecting to different. So as long as it's producing local water supply and we are able to meet with the permit requirements of the discharge from the SMP. And the current policy, as staff mentioned, if there are more than one on the potable side, more than one customer, Calleguas extended the lines. And I think we should continue to honor that, stick with the policy we have. Based on those three suggestions I am making, I support sharing the costs.
I've got one more question, probably. In the event that this continues on and more people connect or more capacity is requested and we get to full capacity, and then someone else goes, well, I would like to also connect for my biotech business. There isn't enough capacity. How do we address the negotiation of those to be equitable to everyone?
So to the extent that that ordinance 19, which governs the operation of SMP, addresses this issue, it merely says that brine takes precedence over recycled water discharges. It doesn't specifically address priority beyond that. That is certainly another policy question the board could take up. At this point, on the pipeline overall, we're nowhere near capacity constrained. It was built with some discharges in mind that haven't come to be, that were large volume. This particular segment of pipeline, if it were not upsized based on what it is currently pursuing, would have limited capacity. My proposal then would be that it be some sort of, either you'd have to consider based on priority on first in, or the board could choose to favor municipal water projects versus private entities. Those are policy questions that the board could take up at a later time.
Mr. McMillan?
No, I was just scratching.
It's just one of those things where, and like it was stated, another brine line would be almost financially impossible to put out to the ocean. And so before we get close to the end of the capacity of the brine line, it may be good to consider, a very important resource that the region could have.
Yeah, and that's why the staff recommendation did specifically mention the potential to upsize. I think that's a conversation that we would want to have with the JPA, with other potential biotech dischargers, of whether that, because there's obviously a cost to build the pipe bigger, but it's a lot cheaper to build it bigger now than to build a second one later or upsize it later.
There's also the potential, like time of use. So if everyone's discharging during the day, then maybe people can coordinate.
Yeah, you could do something scheduling wise, which they could potentially accomplish with some sort of discharge tank that allows them operational storage. You're right, that's another option.
Okay. Do you have anything? So, the SMP is great. I appreciate what we're doing for Las Virgenes. I am concerned about increased cost for Calleguas and our district. I've been mentioning the word fair share quite a bit recently. This benefits a private business at the expense of our ratepayers. They're a for-profit business, and now that $20 million is going to be at the expense of our people throughout our district. My concern, and maybe something I would pitch, is we keep it as is. Maybe we help Las Virgenes pay for a portion of that and upsize it or something. We work out a better deal for our ratepayers, that's not gonna put $20 million at something that wasn't planned to help a few private businesses who are very profitable. Or we work out a different rate or a better deal to make sure that we are taking care of our ratepayers and not putting extra cost and future rate increases on their shoulders. So that's kind of where I stand on something like this.
Well, I do see some merit in looking at the private businesses a little bit differently. But as I mentioned, the three criteria, what I was using to build lines, we could say if it's a private business, their rates would be different than our municipal customers. Our purveyors may have certain rates, our non-purveyors may have separate rates, and businesses may have separate as far as the discharge is concerned.
If I could just interject a clarification on how the rates are currently structured. They're currently structured so that if you're within the Calleguas service area, you pay a certain rate, and there's a 50% additional charge if you're outside the Calleguas service area, because within the service area, you're paying on your property taxes, a small amount. In the case of the JPA, we agreed to categorize them as within the service area because Triumph is within the service area and they are a participant in the JPA. But your point is well taken. We could look at all higher alternative rates for private businesses if that's something that the board would like staff to do.
I would support private business paying maybe like out of district area, for example. Because, or maybe something in between, I'm not sure exactly what that should be, because they're for profit. And whether we have the line here or not, they would invest the money to do the projects they're doing. I mean, they're not dependent on us.
Right.
Well, I don't-
Engine profits $7 billion a year. You know, we're adding something on our ratepayers' shoulders to help them profit more. So that's my thought.
Well, I would like to keep an eye on the ball. In other words, this the salinity management pipeline was built actually from outfall back. And it was built originally for chlorides management, right? There's a lot of changes.
Solids, yes.
And so I think that was a protective measure for inland groundwater desalters, right? And so next level would be to keep an eye on capacity and what's local. And I would always prefer more local contributors. Didn't want to say discharges. But and again, with the confining sources to that discharge, I'm quite open to the idea that if there was a relationship such as we have with Triumph or Las Virgenes, that means a lot to the area. And I think it benefits Thousand Oaks. I think it sets a little bit of a trend for what kind of help we can provide. It was meant to be a service, long-term water quality objectives for inland surface water. So I would like to keep that objective in mind as we sign up some things. But no, I think the genius of the SMP was just amazing. The way it happened, how we did it in view of what happened in Kesterson Bay. So I think it's a great tool for the region.
What I'd like to propose then, if the board is amenable, is to return to the board at a later meeting with a little more information to try to address some of the board's questions and concerns and engage in further discussion.
So I was gonna say something similar, but maybe from a adapted perspective, would it be worth setting up some sort of ad hoc committee to discuss the types of things that we brought to the board so that we kind of can look into these multifacets that we've discussed today?
I mean, it's certainly, this discussion has identified a number of potential policy questions associated with the SMP. that would seem like a reasonable topic for an ad hoc committee. I think we'd have to bring back an agenda item to create the ad hoc committee, but that seems like something we'd be able to accomplish for the next board meeting if that's, because this is a complex, difficult issue. There's a lot of factors that come into play. And so the detailed nature of that discussion may be better served in a committee setting.
You're speaking right ahead of my thoughts. I was gonna say, this is a multifaceted issue with large scale implications both ways that I think merit due diligence that I think everyone wants. I think the overall tone is we all want to do the right thing.
Mhm.
So I think more analysis is probably the way to do that.
Okay, then I think the recommendation, staff will come back I think we can do it at the next board meeting to form an ad hoc committee and then schedule a committee to, maybe the first committee meeting is just to lay out all the issues that the committee wants us to address and then come back with more information.
Does the rest of the board agree?
Does that work?
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to throw out one more thing. Since I have a little familiarity with Las Virgenes, and it's a humorous kind of thing, but when Las Virgenes built its collection system as it went out, and I remember the U district, maybe that means something to you now, but how you ended up introducing new hookups to people that they're taking advantage of an infrastructure that's already occurred. And how that pricing went. I think that's an interesting thing for us to know or figure out. But I think your experience in that area is would be helpful, even if it was involved with the collection system. It's still kind of similar.
So you're speaking of something historically that occurred within Las Virgenes?
Yeah.
Based on your experience working there years ago, okay?
So they went out, expanded the new signups and new connections. That's kind of how the process, that might help us in terms of how to fill out.
If I understand it correctly, Scott, you are talking what I know as a capital improvement charges. When a water or sewer system builds their large capacity systems, then you figure out the people connecting later on, you pay capacity connection fee.
Connections fee. I was about to say
Yeah,
connection.
the same thing you're talking about, I think.
There's two systems you can be talking about. You can talk about the collection system or the expansion of the recycled water.
Yes, yes. Correct. Now, as far as the ad hoc committee, I'm not sure whether there's a timeline we have to make a decision for the Las Virgenes purposes, or there enough time for us to go through ad hoc committee, or would it be more expeditious to do it at the board level?
Yeah, maybe we can get a little help from staff, what TJ gave that. I think they will do it. Yeah.
I'll try to address that and then Oliver will correct me where I. My thought is that you should take the time that you need to go through this process. We did award a contract and we will be starting construction in the April timeframe. But there are a lot of means where we can work this out. We can continue with our contract and we can work out an arrangement where that some portion of the pipe could be deeded to Calleguas. So I think we can make it work. And Oliver, anything you want to add?
Yeah, Oliver's the program manager on Pure Water for this.
Oliver, sorry, he's with Las Virgenes and is our program manager.
Thank you for having me tonight. It's great to be with you, directors. The one caveat I would say is I think there is certainly a lot of time to discuss ownership of the 12,700 feet or so that would connect to Amgen. What is a little more pressing time-wise is the upsizing decision. That's roughly about a $1.6 million rough order of magnitude cost to go from a 12-inch to a 14-inch. As was mentioned before, that would add an additional 300 GPM of capacity. So that's a little bit more urgent just because of where we are, having just awarded the contract and starting construction in April. So I just wanted to highlight that smaller portion, but ultimate ownership, the 19 million that we're talking about of the section of pipeline, I mean, that's a much longer conversation. So just wanted to give that extra bit of detail.
Thanks for the clarification, Oliver.
And I'll just give my opinion. I don't think it's whether the project is, for me, whether it's a yes or no for the project. I think it's more of the details and the particulars on how it's implemented. And so hopefully we are expeditious enough to not hinder any sort of work.
Okay, I think staff has direction from the board.
Any other board comments?
No, I guess only the comment, do we need an ad hoc committee or would it be better for all the board members to weigh in as we go through the process?
Yeah, I actually like the idea of all of us weighing
Yeah, that's
in.
what I-
We all have different,
If there's any way to do
Even as a workshop.
more than two, yeah.
or a workshop, we all have different opinions. We all have different views.
Yeah.
And if we have two board members in a committee, I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah. My next question was gonna ask council, what's the best way to get a workshop or a group discussion?
Are we talking a 5-member workshop?
Yeah, then it's a
Any-
board meeting.
Anything above 3 is a board meeting.
It's a special meeting.
Yeah, I think a focused,
Okay, give staff some time to kind of talk through, debrief what we've discussed here today. And then instead of an action item for an ad hoc committee at the next meeting, we'll come back with a preliminary game plan for moving forward. How's that?
Okay.
Great.
And also when you look through that, you can also look at the timeline. Is it going to be faster going through ad hoc versus here? As our president mentioned, everybody has different views. So only 2 members know all the details. We don't know.
2 members.
We can't even talk at the meetings.
2 members bringing back recommendations to the board doesn't work for me.
Well, in some ways, that's some reference to the roundtable we're talking about as well.
Staff will work on figuring that all out.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Fernando, and thank you for jumping in unexpectedly, the reordering of the meeting.
Thank you, LV, thank you, Fernando, and thank you, board. Okay, we're moving back to item 6, consent calendar. I do know that we have questions on D, E, and G. Do you have any other ones?
I can walk back pulling the,
And I know that the auditor wants to speak on F briefly.
And F. Okay. Was there any other items the board wanted to discuss? So well, I'll just start from the top. Any questions or comments on A?
Just that I'm gonna.
Director Quady's gonna,
Okay,
Yeah.
Director Quady's abstaining.
No comments, right?
Anything on B?
Yes, B and C, I do have comments.
Okay, let's start with B.
Unless, if other board members have comments, I will yield.
please.
How are you? There are 2 contracts as on the agenda, 6, B and 6C. The first one is for TCB Industrial. This is for the preventive corrective maintenance of hydroelectric pump stations. My questions are, have they done any work for us before? Did they do work on our facilities before?
Not that I'm aware of. And we used to have Ethos was the contractor. They did not bid. We reached out to them. So this was our
I see.
only qualified bidder.
But the other question was, there are 18. You sent out this proposal for 18 different contractors
Correct.
and none of them responded.
Yeah, and part of that is we don't guarantee anybody a volume of work. And some of these contractors are actually from out of state, right? So if you're gonna give somebody, $10,000, $20,000, $80,000, there's no guarantee. So it's not always very enticing for them to supply proposals.
So where is this company based? Where is their home office?
They are out of Stockton.
Start
Okay.
local. And what's the low bid? Oh, so I guess only one bid in this.
They are the high and the low.
I don't know.
and the average.
They're the average.
The average, okay. The other question on B is similar. Did they do any work for us?
Oh, are you moved on to C?
No.
C?
CC.
See,
C has, to my knowledge, worked for us in the past.
they had the contract before Lane Christensen.
They have worked for us
We've
before.
had different pump companies. We've had oil field electric, so they've done work and I've used them in other agencies as well.
Okay. To, Director Calab, let's, I wanted to do one item at a time.
I'm
So does
sorry.
Any other board member have
I'm
questions
sorry.
on B? Nothing on B, okay. Now, C,
I'm sorry, I thought they didn't have any comments. That's why I said.
do we have anything else on C? Okay, moving on to D. Do we have something on D?
We do have a presentation on D.
Yeah, and that's why I was,
Like us to give it.
whenever you had planned on giving it,
All right, now's the time then.
I don't want to rush Fernando anymore than.
Yeah, we already threw Fernando for enough loops in this board meeting, but at least this time we're going in order.
All right. Good evening, Board of Directors. All right, so Lake Bard Water Filtration Plant Staff Housing, speaking of ad hoc committees, this was one item that was presented to the ad hoc committee on Lake Bard Wellfield Treatment Plant, the board committee, and we have some recommendations tonight. So I want to go over the history of the process that staff has undertaken over the last year or so, starting with some background. As you know, there are three manufactured houses located around Lake Bard, as shown on this aerial. They're approximately 40 years old, and of course, nearing the end of their useful life. They are housed, or the tenants are select employees that live in these homes right now. The manager of IT and the operations supervisor live on Staff House 2 and 1. Staff House 3 was vacated by our previous operations and finance manager. And of course, we have benefits that come along with having Staff House and having tenants that are experts in their area living in there. The Staff House provides critical staff at Lake Bard Filtration Plant that helps meet the district's emergency response program. Having staff reside on site ensures that the district can maintain its current rapid response capabilities, minimizing downtime, mitigating risks, and containing costs. Without on-site staff, the district would be unable to respond as quickly to various emergencies, security breaches, issues with standby power, issues with the distribution system, and the water treatment process. And this could result in increased expenses and more serious operation and environmental impacts. Actually, I do want to point out that we did have a power outage that affected this facility just a couple nights ago. And of course, our manager of IT, Wes Richardson, was able to respond within a few minutes and make sure that our standby generators were up and running, our pumps were running as well, and there was no disruption to service. So another example.
Yeah, and we are running the treatment plant right now, so a loss of power here is particularly worrisome.
Absolutely. So there were various alternatives that were investigated and presented to the ad hoc committee on employee housing. These included the rehabilitation of the houses, excuse me, the complete replacement of those houses with either a mobile home, a container home, a tiny home, standard construction, or a manufactured home. And the ad hoc committee recommended the houses just be completely replaced, with manufactured homes. So some cost considerations we'd like to point out to achieve similar emergency response time without replacing the houses. We're talking about, again, just a handful of minutes. We would have to add two positions to the control room at the cost of approximately $360,000 per year to cover those salaries and benefits. Replacing the houses is more cost effective over the long term and then adding staff, of course. Staff living in these houses pay rent, which over the life of the houses will pay for the cost of providing them. So tonight's recommendation by staff is to approve the new capital project, approve capital project budget allocation, the amount of $20,000 for the replacement of Lake Bard Water Filtration Plant Staff Housing Phase 1. Do want to point out that this budget allocation covers the cost of preparing the bid documents to replace Staff House 2 and 3. Once design is completed, additional budget allocation would be requested for construction. And replacement of Staff House 1 would be addressed as another phase. So that concludes my presentation and happy to take questions.
And just so the board has the other background, we had planned to try to use a consultant for this because we don't have a lot of staff, but we were not satisfied with the prices we were getting. They were too high and we were not comfortable bringing them to the board. And so that resulted in a change in direction, which is basically Fernando and I are preparing the specifications. We simply couldn't find a price that we found was acceptable and really felt that more than enough time had passed and that our commitment to the residents of the house, particularly Wes as the manager of IT in House 2, was that we had to find another way to make it work at a lower cost. So that's why you're seeing the item you're seeing here today.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to
Fernando.
ask you that question. We do in-house design. I didn't know that we have done in-house. design.
We are doing, I mean, Fernando and I are both PEs. And we're operating within, our acceptable, there are examples out there. Fernando went on the online procurement system we used and found some examples that have been used in other settings that actually were manufactured homes nationwide. So using that as a starting point. But
And it is a performance specification. It's not a full detailed architectural drawings.
Yeah.
Specification we are capable of preparing.
The question I have is about the $20,000. That's for the consultants. It's not one consultant. Any help you need?
it would be, we wanted to have something so that we could reach out to consultants for areas that we were uncomfortable with, like we needed some electrical assistance or something. So that's what that number is for. I frankly don't expect that we would use anywhere near that, but we wanted to have some latitude and not be constrained by that so that we can proceed expeditiously.
Exactly.
Thank you for taking on additional responsibility
Okay, thank you.
and saving us money.
Questions, comments from the board?
I was gonna point out a few things from the ad hoc committee. The reason that replacement was chosen over rehabilitation is the costs were about the same and rehabilitation wouldn't have been as good as the replacement. Especially for the long-term investment of the asset for the district. There's a commitment to have a maintenance schedule for the new assets so that they continue to be assets after they've amortized themselves. I think everyone on the board and staff realizes recently examples of the security benefits of having staff on site. And as much as recently with the outage.
Yeah, that was Monday.
And and even before that, with helicopters and trespassing and all kinds of things. And I guess the benefit of doing it ourselves is, well, we trust ourselves and it lets us be agile. If we do want to make a change, I don't think Fernando's going to submit a change order. So, but for me, and I like that we do it in-house because this is kind of a niche area and it's rapidly developing. And so new options may be around the corner or we may want to see, we may plan on something and then say, well, actually someone just came up and they can do a great job. And I think that allows us the latitude to do that. So those are just my comments from this.
Thank you.
I have a question, and maybe a comment. I support the project, but when I was looking at the cost for the project, I believe your report says each building costs $810,000.
$810,000.
Just for the construction.
That would cover also some of the civil work around the houses as well. And I believe some of the rent that would need to be covered for current tenants to be housed.
Yes, so if you look at 810 and if you add engineering, I guess all of the engineering is done in-house.
The vast majority with a little
So
bit of specialized.
you're talking about more than $2 million for all three homes,
Yes.
correct? So my question is, are we going to be modifying our lease agreements based on our longevity of the building? Is that our intent before they?
It would be, we would be updating the lease agreement, yes, and likely increasing the rent.
Well, whatever the number, increase or decrease, but it's based on the cost of the project being over a period of time if your life expectancy is 50 years.
Dan, do you feel comfortable commenting on how the rent has been set historically?
And
I'm not sure how exactly it was set historically. Back in the day, we did kind of look at the market prices for the rent. That's not really something that's easy to do now because there aren't many manufactured homes that are for rent out there in Ventura County. So it's not really easy to compare, but so it was based on market value back in the day. We did do an analysis based on even what it is right now. And as long as we increase it by the CPI, which is what we've been doing over the life of this manufactured home, we would fully recover the cost of this $850,000.
That's my question.
That's some additional cost for additional repairs during that time period.
But we also pay staff a stipend for living.
For being available on
for being
standby.
Available.
Being available on standby, but that's because
It amounts to about the same cost as the rent.
it does come close to the same cost. So we are paying them to be on standby, but that's a benefit to the district for having them here and addressing any emergency that comes up.
the way that, and we did kind of some napkin math before. Because that was one of my big things was, again, is it worth it to the district? Is it an asset? Is it a benefit? The standby cost, I didn't consider as part of the rent, balancing against the rent, because it's like having someone here as like security or, a staff overnight. I don't see that as part of the housing question. The thing about the rent and the increase, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we calculated 25 to 30 years was the amortization rate. 30. And at that point, there's a certain amount extra that would pay towards when the house had to be replaced and I don't know which version we went with, but when the house had to be replaced, there's actually an excess there that would pay towards the next models.
And you could look at it that way, that there's going to be some excess that's going to pay for the new model, or you can look at it that the rent's paying for the current model,
Sure.
reimbursing us for the purchase of the new home. The extra money can also be used for repairs that come up during that 30-year lifespan, because there will be repairs that have to be made to these houses when you get toward the end of its useful life.
And I think it's really important once the design's kind of finalized, and I know I asked you for this, once we got closer to items that we put numbers to, but really do a cost benefit, so that we can show why it makes sense to do this, not just why we want to purchase houses.
I think that's what sort of the analysis was, is that it does pay for itself over the 30-year lifetime, plus some additional money for repairs.
Once the engineering comes through and we start getting bids and saying, okay, this is what it's actually going to cost, because
we can do it again.
Yeah, we can update those numbers.
But you kind of have to back out a little bit in terms of what the rental market might be. And whether or not somebody would have the ability to decide that, well, actually, though, I can beat your rent and go somewhere else, and then I don't have an incentive to be on site.
Our rent is
still well below.
it's still
It's competitive.
It's very attractive.
definitely a benefit to the employee, plus the fact if they are here helping us and they're getting a standby pay, it's offsetting that rent. So it's not much cost to them to come and live at the district.
And you can't beat the view.
How many bedrooms? 3-bedroom home?
3 bedrooms, yes, 3 bedrooms.
Yeah, the current houses are a mix of 2 and 3, but plan moving forward was to do.
That's why a tiny home wouldn't work. Yeah.
And touch base a little bit on the decision to do 2 now rather than 1 at a time. There's benefits to doing 2 at a time, especially with the contractors, but I agreed with staff's recommendation that maybe not do all 3 at once, but 2 at a time. And there's always the potential for, let's say, the third one, we want to do something different with, something smaller, duplex.
Apply whatever lessons learned we learn.
Right.
But was that something that the ad hoc found out?
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments for staff on this topic? Okay. Thank you, Fernando.
Thanks, Fernando and Dan.
Okay, moving on to the next item, E. Do we have questions or comments on E? F. Questions, comments on F?
F, we have comments from the auditor who is joining us online.
Yes, good evening, Director. So this is the annual audited financial statements, and I am going to share a screen because he did do a page. He would like me to. Share. And I'm now going to introduce Jared Solomon with Nigro and Nigro, who are our auditors. And he will say a few words. This is the new partner that is in charge of our audit. So when we redid the RFP and we went out for the auditors, we had them switch the partner, and Jared is the new partner on this audit. Jared, are you there?
All right, I am. Thank you, Dan. As Dan mentioned, my name is Jared Samuelson. I am a partner with Nigro and Nigro in the Special Districts team, and I'm here to present the results of the fiscal year ending 6/30/25 audit. I'm just going to say a few words here about our responsibility as auditors. We were engaged to perform audit test work of the entity's annual financial statements and report. We were engaged to report on the entity's internal control over financial reporting and on compliance in accordance with auditing standards. Our responsibility as auditors are to form and express an opinion about whether the annual financial statement results that have been prepared by management are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. Our responsibility is to plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the annual financial statements are free of material misstatements. We are to consider the entity's internal controls and segregations of duties over accounting procedures and financial reporting as we perform our audit test work. Such considerations were solely for the purpose of determining our audit procedures and not to provide any assurance concerning such internal controls. So we evaluate the internal controls to make sure the information provided to us can be relied upon, but we do not express an opinion on the internal controls themselves. Our opinion is on the financial statements as a whole. The audit results, we issued an unmodified opinion. That is a clean opinion. We do not want any modifications to the opinion language. In our opinion, the annual financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. The adopted significant accounting policies have been consistently applied. Estimates are considered reasonable for depreciation, pension, and OPEB expense. These are non-cash expenses, so they are considered estimates. All required disclosures are properly reflected in the annual financial statements. And all new GASB pronouncements were implemented during the year. We had two come online this year, GASB 101, compensated absences, and GASB 102, certain risk disclosures. So both those are reflected in the financial statements. As part of the audit, AUC 265, communicating internal control related matters identified in the audit. No material issues arose to be reported to the governing board or to management. Any questions we had throughout the course of the audit were cleared up by Sue and Dan. So moving on to the presentation you see on the screen there, I'm just going to do a brief overview of how the numbers came to rest through the year here. Total revenues increased 25.7 million year over year to 2025. They were 182.5 million versus 156.7 million in 2024. The biggest drivers of the increase were a $28.2 million increase in water sales. That was up from 109 million in 2024 to 137 approximately in 2025. Other drivers to the increase were an increase in property taxes, about 945,000, as well as increased investment earnings of 1.8 million. So solid investment earnings there, up to about 10.1 million, 10.2 million. So moving down to expenses here. Total expenses for the year increased about 25.2 million, ending the year about 166 million versus 141 million in the prior year. The biggest driver of the increase was an increase in source of supply of about 22 million. That kind of goes hand in hand with the large increase in water sales. Let's see. Some other drivers of the change. We had a big decrease of interest expense of 1.7 million as the debt is paid down. We had another refunding this year. So as you pay less interest over the time, you'll see that going down, more principal, less interest. So bring us to change in revenues expenses. Think of that as your bottom line. That's the change in net position. 16.3 million versus 15.8 million in the prior year. So again, very solid financial year for the district. And then moving down here to kind of the quick summary at the bottom, just to keep it brief. How did we get from the 16.3 million increase in net assets to we had a 6.8 million increase in cash and investments. So the district ended the year with about a little over 190 million in cash and investments versus 184 in the prior year. So you can see we had change in capital expense. That's depreciation expense taken against cash that the district spent on capital assets. There was about 7.6 million in cash out the door on new capital assets this year. And then debt service principal payments. We had the new issue this year that refunded some of the bonds. So principal paid was about 74.5 million versus new principal issued of 66 million. That's a change in debt service of about 8.3 million. So that's a use of cash. And then down there, we just have some other changes in accruals, balance sheet items, and that gets us to the approximately 6.8 million increase in cash and investments there. And lastly, I just want to comment on the investment earnings to portfolio. We just do an average kind of what the cash investments were throughout the year. And we like to audit to about a benchmark of 4%, considering what current market rates are. Our calculation was 5.4% on the district's cash and investments. So very good fiscal management of the district's cash and investments there. That completes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions about the presentation or about the financial statements or the communication letter.
Thank you, Jared. Do we have questions or comments from the board? Director Pacala.
I'll go last.
Director Pacala.
Thank you, Mr. President. So Jared, my question is, how healthy is Calleguas financially compared to other special districts that you audit?
I would say very healthy. Calleguas, excuse me, being a wholesaler, you're a little bit different than some of the other water districts we do. Larger balance sheet, larger cash reserves, larger capital assets. But just looking at your annual, just the last 2 years, your increase in net position, 16 million this year versus almost 16 million last year, with a very healthy reserves. So I would say overall, very healthy district, financially speaking.
Okay. I was reviewing your report. One of the comments is district has a positive balance of unrestricted net position of more than $248 million, which can be utilized for future investments. I'm sure you know the answer. Is this that we could borrow more money? What does that mean? $248 million.
That's just considered your kind of operating reserve. It doesn't exactly match your, cash and investments reserves, but it's pretty close. But just listen to the presentation earlier, just the sheer cost of some of the infrastructure, we're talking $100 million projects. It's good to have that on hand for when those replacements come into effect.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have some questions for Dan. Of course.
Please.
Oh, I thought.
Go ahead. Come on.
I have to find my question somewhere. Just editorial comments. This is what I want to say is the letter that from you and our general manager really provides a good summary. And when I read through this report and audit, I got a lot of good information. Now I have a good understanding of where the money is, how we are. And as the auditor said, I personally feel we are very, very healthy financially. Good job. Thank you. And I also think that's because of you, with your experience and your team's efforts. We appreciate that. The questions I have is just editorial comments. On the first page of the letter, I'm suggesting we should add Westlake to the list of the communities in the last paragraph on page 1. The map on the second page already shows Westlake, but there's no Westlake here.
Okay.
Like just editorial. The next one is similar comment. On page 3, maybe we also want to add treatment costs where it says Metropolitan imposes transmission costs. They also impose treatment costs. On the fourth page of the fourth paragraph, it says Calleguas pumped approximately 3,800 acre feet of stored imported water in 2022. How many weeks or months did Calleguas pump from the SR well field?
I do not know the answer to that offhand.
I don't know the direct, I mean, that was during the drought, so it was over several months.
Yeah.
As we were, we were doing it along with the water we were getting from Metropolitan. That's when we were down to the 1 day a week watering. We had limited supplies coming from Metropolitan. So we supplemented our supplies by pumping out of the well field.
Okay. Next question is on page 23 of the audit report. Under groundwater in storage, it shows $46.9 million in inventory, groundwater. What was the cost of imported water per acre foot for the stored water?
Can't give you that direct answer right now because it's actually a varied number. So when we store the water, we're buying it typically from Metropolitan and we put it in inventory at the cost that we paid Metropolitan for that water. So by fiscal year
so there's a different rate.
There is.
To inject water, it's a different rate.
We've got a schedule that we keep
Okay.
to maintain that. And we use the first in, first out rule, which means the first water we put in is the first one we take out when we're pulling from the well field.
Okay. Another question. Page 53 of the audit report shows pumping power costs from 2020 to 2024 for 5 years. This is a historical cost. Based on this data, I looked at the annual cost increases for the electricity for every year. It comes out to be 34% increase average. And when I looked at the projection, in the next page 54, we are projecting 2% rate increase for the Edison power. The reason I'm bringing this up is maybe somebody needs to look into why would we pay such a high power the past 5 years?
Okay. So first, when you're looking at the past costs, it's not just the cost of the Edison increases. It's based on how much pumping we're doing. So when we were running the well field, we run a lot more power than when we're not running the well field. So some of those years when we were pumping water from the well field and pumping it all the way up to the upper zones, our power costs increased significantly. So what you're looking at is not all Edison increases. It's a varied amount of power that we're using.
Okay, so certain years you may have pumped more local groundwater, other years.
And we may be.
Or stored imported water.
Yeah, stored imported water. So every year there has a consistent increase. That means every year pumping more and more than?
It depends on the year. So that's why it's hard to compare. It's not just showing you the increases in the price. It depends on how much water we're pumping around the entire district. Because when we're talking pumping power, we're talking about all the pumping stations that we have.
Okay. Last question. Who manages OPEB trust fund?
We have that with PERS.
Oh, PERS, I thought so. Okay. So they take care of all the investing.
They take care of all the investing. And we have an actuary that comes in every year and gives us the evaluation.
Yeah. So as I said before, I mean, we are in good shape financially. I thank you very much. And I'm proposing that our president to give a challenge plan. But great job that, so that's it.
I was already gonna mention, you've been nominated to receive Calleguas' second coin and second coin for staff. And Director Pakala, would you do?
I nominated, but you're.
Does not want to stay on the little.
By the board too. You want to come up for a picture?
do.
You have done a.
Congratulations. Thank you. Great job.
You've done incredible work.
Wait a minute, I'll do this.
This is an all damn thing. I'm out of.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Nice job.
Does not want to stay on the little thing now. It does not want to stay on the little pedestal in the box.
Got off its high horse. Thank you, Dan. Okay. That wraps up item F. G. Director McCullough.
No comment. Dan, what is the rate of return for CAMP?
I hope you got a refresh there and you're re-energized. We got another hour to go.
Right now, it's similar to LAIF. I believe it's it's usually a little bit higher than LAIF, but right now it might be a little bit less so the difference between the CAMP, and I have to go look up the CAMP acronym, but California Asset Management Program.
Yes, California Asset Management. I wrote it down.
So the CAMP program is a little bit more shorter investments. So their turnover is like every 60 days. So they have a little more reflection of what's happening in the market. So when interest rates are going down, their rates are going to go down a little bit. And then when they go up, they're going to get up faster than LAIF does. So it's pretty close. LAIF and CAMP are pretty close together. They're just a little bit more market driven.
Yeah, as you may recall, VCIP rate of return was 4.35% when we looked at last time. And LEAF was 4.25. There's a 10 basis point difference between the two. I know you have mentioned that county is not really dispersing funds when we need them. You have challenges. My question to you is, did we contact auditor's office and tell them that we are going to pull out of their pool?
We have not, but we don't have really any money with them anymore. We're down to like $6,000 with the county, and that's just from interest that's come in over.
Right. My thought is maybe we should let them know. The reason I'm saying that is there's a lot of other public agencies, small water districts, also special districts also use county pool to invest their money. And I don't know why they don't disperse the money. They're supposed to. Maybe they'll change their.
Right. So the dispersing of the money, there's twofold to that. One is anything over $1 million takes at least a week to get from them. That's written right on their sheet. Anything over $1 million, planned for 7 days. And so when we're dealing with our needs for cash, and I use all of the pools as our liquidity manager, so I don't have to go and sell investments when I need cash. So with that, it takes a week, and we usually are looking for it to come a little bit sooner than that. LAIF has a 1-day turnaround. I can call them at 10 o'clock in the morning before 10, and I'll get it that same day. CAMP is the same way. 11 o'clock in the morning, I can have the money the same day. So it gives us a lot more flexibility as far as the liquidity goes. The other issue with the Ventura County pool was that when they said we've earned interest on our money, it would take them months to get us that money. We never know when it's coming. We know we've earned it. And then they just takes their time to give it to us. We have to actually track on a separate thing what we've been told to make sure that it actually comes in. Once they get that right when they're supposed to, they give it to us.
What's the difference?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Said
Big difference.
almost same day, right? Some cases.
Yeah, so like LAIF pays quarterly on their interest, but you know when you're going to get it in. So that first of that quarter, they pay it. CAMP's supposed to be doing on a monthly basis. They pay the interest. I don't know exactly what day it is yet because we haven't.
Was the county paying on the interest?
Well, that's the thing. They would send us a letter and we don't know when the letter's coming. And all of a sudden we get a letter that says, so if we have $10 million in there, and let's say we get 300,000 in interest, We don't know when we're gonna get that money. We know it's coming. It's coming in 2 installments. So we'll get half of it at one point, which is sometimes within like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But then we don't know when we're gonna get the second half, and that could be another month or two.
Potential earnings off of
We are
that.
losing potentially earnings on that because it's not in our cash balance.
So what I'm hearing is the county process really does not optimize our investments. We don't get the
Yeah, it doesn't meet our liquidity needs.
liquidity needs.
So for smaller agencies who don't necessarily have, larger projects and don't need to pull down $1 million at a time, it would work for them.
Okay.
But for us, because we're bigger, when we need money, we need the cash a lot. Like if an agency doesn't pay, they're not paying $2 million. And that could throw us in a spot where all of a sudden we need to pull down $2+ million from one of these liquidity pools, and we need to be able to do it that day.
Okay. Different participant pools. Right.
Yeah, and I just want to, and I'm adding camp so that I still have 2 pools to be able to deal with. So I don't have to put all my money in one pocket.
Yeah, thank you. One question about commercial paper. Do we use commercial paper at?
We do own some commercial paper in our portfolio.
How about the interest rates for commercial papers compared to LAIF and?
I'd have to go look at what the.
Higher or low?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to go look at our investments to see kind of what they're at. But we kind of do the commercial paper and then the treasuries and the corporates to diversify our portfolio. So all of our money's not in one type of investment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, and the last item is H. Do we have questions or comments on H? Okay, with that, I am looking for a motion on the consent calendar. Second, a first and a second. I know Director Quady abstains from 6A for the minutes. And do we have a roll call, please?
Director Quady?
Aye.
Director McMillan?
Yes.
Director Pacala?
Yes.
Director Robert?
Yes.
Director Avila?
Aye, the motion carries. Thank you, everyone. With that, I'm gonna call for a 10-minute break to return at 5:35. Call it a 9-minute break. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I need him back.
Yeah. No, I can buy, I just, that's what I always blame on that.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are now on calling this meeting back to order. We are now on item 7, action items. Discussion of notice to set date, time, and place of public hearing to consider amending ordinance 12 covering rules and regulations for water services to member agencies within Calleguas Municipal Water District, 4 p.m. on March 18, 2026.
Yes, so this item, I made a lot of references to ordinance 19 during our S&P policy discussion because that is the ordinance that governs operation of the S&P. Well, ordinance 12 is the predecessor that governs operation of the potable water system. And we amend it as needed. It doesn't happen that often. In this case, there was a redlining closed in the packet. And really, the major changes, and they really aren't all that major, is that Met no longer has tier 1 and tier 2 rates. So and neither do we. So we removed those references, also just cleaned up there were some typos in there. There were some terminology inconsistencies, and also clarified that because this is an ordinance, that we would only amend the ordinance by ordinance so that we don't have a quicker, easier process to amend the ordinance once it exists. Because it's an ordinance, we do need to have a public hearing, and you do need to set and notify that about the public hearing 60 days in advance, which is why we are proposing a public hearing date of March 18th.
Easy enough. Do we have questions or comments from the board?
I just have a comment in the ordinance 12. We use the same terminology, member agency or purveyors. Is there any merit for us to say purveyors instead of member agencies? There's no confusion between metropolitan member agencies and Calleguas member agencies?
I don't think there is confusion. Member agencies is the term that's been used in there. As you note, it isn't one that we use really in the day-to-day.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not day-to-day use. We always say purveyors.
Well, and technically they aren't all agencies. Some are investor-owned utilities and mutual water companies. So I think that would be a point in favor of shifting from member agency to purveyor.
Right.
Unless legal counsel has concerns.
So
All
I'd
right,
like to see all the changes implemented across it before we have the final version. So it sounds right.
so we have a motion to approve and call it purveyors, is what I'm hearing?
Well, I think today's action is just to set the hearing, but the hearing can be accompanied with direction to staff to also change member agencies to purveyors in the ordinance when the ordinance is brought back to the board for consideration at the public hearing.
So we have a motion to approve with direction of staff to redline to purveyors for when it comes back to the board.
Correct.
There we go.
Approver set a date.
Sorry?
Approver set a date.
Motion to
Set a date for the public hearing.
Set a date. Okay. Approve the action item. Sure.
But with the caveat of.
Replacing member agencies with purveyors.
Okay, do we have a second?
I think we do have to ask for public comment.
First, second, do we have any members of the public who would like to comment? Please raise your hand. Okay, no hands.
I'm sorry, can I have clarify who was first and who was?
Director Pacala was first, Director McMillan was second.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Director Quady,
Aye.
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Pacala,
Yes.
Director Robert,
Yes.
Director Avila.
Aye. Okay, thank you. The motion carries. Item B, discussion regarding employee cost of living adjustment and revised salary schedule.
Yes. Trisha's right there. Trisha Ferguson, you were hiding behind the podium. Yes, Trisha Ferguson, our manager of human resources and risk management, will be introducing this item.
All right, so in accordance with our admin code, HR is proposing a cost of living increase of 3.6% for employee salaries in 2026. These annual adjustments ensure that employee compensation keeps pace with inflation and that our employee salaries retain the same purchasing power over time. In addition, it helps us to attract and retain high-quality employees. So for your reference on the screen, this graph shows our approved cost of living adjustments over the past 20 years. The cost of living adjustments align with the Consumer Price Index and are included in our annual budget by finance. And you can see from the memo included in the board packet but there is no request for a budget increase at this time.
How far, sorry, I'm gonna ask something real quick. How far are we out from the next salary survey?
2026, we will be doing a salary survey.
Okay. Do we have questions or comments from the board?
I have a comment. I'll wait.
I was, and you may have just said it, and I was looking something up, but the COLA comes from which research? Or
The consumer price index,
Index.
all urban areas, yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The proposed COLA adjustment is based on our administrative code, which clearly says that we have to use, I guess, Federal Consumer Index for Los Angeles area.
Correct.
What I'm thinking, maybe in the future, we should look at COLA adjustments based on economic conditions, inflation rates, and maybe aligned with our budget to ensure that we maintain competitive rates locally instead of looking at LA. That's my thought. If there's going to be a study done next year, maybe that's the time we need to look at that possibility.
Great idea.
Okay, that is the closest urban area that is tracked in the consumer price index by the Bureau of Labor Standards.
But I'm looking at comparing them with the local regional water districts and maybe local public agencies. So that we are not way below the local salaries.
In terms of the salary survey, not the.
Yeah, I'm back on the salary.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I'll just make the same comment we made last year, and it's that our staff are incredibly valued, and I think this is only normal to, maintain their happiness in this area. I mean, it's
equitable and fair.
Those are good words.
Thank you.
Okay. For motion. We need a public comment.
Oh, yeah, we can ask for.
Would any members of the public like to make a comment? Please raise your hand. Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion. Second, roll call, please.
Director Quady?
Aye.
Director McMillan?
Yes.
Director Pacala?
Yes.
Director Robert?
Yes.
Director Avila?
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, staff. Up next is item C, public hearing and discussion regarding resolution number 2118, declaring the necessity for acquisition of a permanent easement and temporary construction easement for the Calleguas Ventura interconnection and authorizing the district legal counsel to institute eminent domain proceedings in connection therewith. Central Camarillo Properties LLC parcel number 152 TAC 0 TAC 170 TAC 090. Fernando.
Military for Dash?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Today too?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Good evening, Board of Directors. So tonight we also have our right-of-way legal counsel joining us remotely. Todd, are you there?
Yes, I'm here and I'll keep on mute until you want me to talk.
Excellent. All right. Okay. Fantastic. And in a few minutes, I will stop my presentation and then Todd can show his camera view. Okay, so tonight we are having a hearing. But before we start recommending staff recommendations for action for the board, I want to cover some background on the Calleguas Ventura interconnection. So I want to start with Calleguas has limited sources and imported water available during outages, as we know, while Ventura has a variety of sources. The city of Ventura has state water project entitlement of approximately 10,000 acre feet per year. Calleguas and Ventura and United Water Conservation District enter into an agreement for the Calleguas Ventura interconnection project with a capacity of approximately 14.7 CFS to Calleguas and 20.8 CFS to Ventura. As this aerial map here shows, this is the project alignment. The yellow portion is Calleguas's portion. All the green portion is the city of Ventura's portion. You can see there's a lot of ag properties here shown. So our pipeline, our section encompasses the need to acquire 10 easements from 10 separate properties. This includes these various property owners here listed here. I won't go through each one of them. And we do need permanent and temporary construction easements to be able to construct this pipeline. And the good news is that these right-of-way procurements are progressing with the exception of one property owner. And this is the Central Camarillo Properties. This is the owner of the property shown on this aerial, depicted by this yellow circle. The pipeline crosses through that property. This is parcel number 152-0170-090. And this property owner has been unresponsive during the waive acquisition process. Starting off with a right of entry that we requested from this property owner when we were doing the design, to access the property to perform survey as well as geotechnical investigations. And those activities were delayed due to the fact that we were not getting responses from the property owner. So regarding that right of entry that was needed, we started back in October of 2022, and we didn't get that right of entry granted until May of 2024 after numerous attempts to contact the property owner. Excuse me. Most recently, we put together an offer package for the permanent and temporary construction easements that was sent out to this property owner back on September. Since then, we've reached out and contacted this property owner 7 times, but the property owner has been unresponsive. Additionally, our right-of-way counsel, Todd Amspoker, mailed out a letter on November to the property owner advising them of Calleguas' eminent domain power, and yet we have not received a response from the owner. So I want to point out a couple of status updates on the project. The design for this project is nearly complete and right-of-way acquisition is underway. We typically acquire all the necessary right-of-way before calling for bids. We're in a situation where we're not ready to do that, unfortunately, due to this one property. And the project was also awarded $7.4 million in grants from DWR. So we need to start construction as soon as possible in order to meet schedule requirements for that grant. So with the next few slides, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Amspoker, our right-of-way counsel. Todd.
Good evening, members of the board. This is Todd Amspoker. So you have before you a proposed resolution of necessity, and there's a staff report that identifies all of the things that you have to find and the facts for it. So I don't need to go through all that. That's in the staff report, but these are the findings that would have to be made. And again, you're acting in your capacity as a legislative body. And once you decided that these things make sense and are true, there's a conclusive presumption that you've acted properly. Look, this is a standard kind of a project for you. It's a water project. Calleguas obviously has the authority to pursue this. I've taken a look at the diagram of the property where the easement is located. It's on the edge of the property to the extent possible. So I think that staff has done everything possible to minimize the impact on the property owner. We had a full appraisal prepared, and the appraisal was provided to the property owner several times. I've attempted to contact the property owner via letters, including the initial letter, and then there was an offer letter that was provided with that initial letter that I sent to them, and also they got their 2-week written notice of this hearing. I haven't heard anything from them. I'm not sure if anybody on Zoom intends to speak on behalf of the property owner, although if that's true, obviously they should be allowed to speak. We did hear from their property manager, apparently, I think of Mr. Daryl Souza, and because we had his email address and we sent everything to him, and he responded just the other day saying that he had received it he had really no authority, but indicated his property, the property owner would like to resolve it. But again, we haven't heard anything from them. So I'm hoping we do hear from them and maybe we can resolve it. But there's just been no progress along those lines at this point. So anyway, the Calleguas Water District qualifies to adopt a resolution of necessity at this point. You've done everything necessary to notify the property owner of what's going on and complied with all the pre-condemnation requirements. So at this point, I forget what the next slide is, Fernando, but at this point it would be, these are the four findings that have to be made. Go ahead. Yeah, this is the property necessary for the project. Also, that it's designed in the manner most compatible with the greatest public good and least private interest. And then also I already described the offer that was made and the appraisal that was made. So this would be the point at which we would open the public hearing and invite anybody who wishes to comment on this to make their comments. And then if there is anybody, that's great, listen to their comments. And if not, then we could close the public hearing and go to a vote.
Thank you, Todd. Before we start, can you move back to the slide where it was the 4 items that need to be met for us to do this? Can you go over those, Todd, just so everybody knows?
Sure. Yes. And additional details are on other slides and in the staff report that you have. But the first one, public interest and necessity require the project. In other words, is this a valid public project that the Calleguas Water District is pursuing? And Fernando has already given you the reasons for it and the benefit to it. And again, this is a decision uniquely within your discretion. If you feel that this is a good project that you want to pursue, you have the right to determine that the public interest and necessity require the project. So this is not an unusual project for you. It's a water pipeline project designed to enhance your water supplies. So it seems to me there's no doubt that the public interest and necessity require the project. So the second item, project planned or located in the manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury. That's just how the project is designed. And as you know, and this is in the resolution of necessity, the exhibits that are attached that have the plat map, the area of the easement is along the edge of the property. It's not in the middle of the property, and it's an underground pipeline. So again, this is not a circumstance in which it has significant private injury in relation to the public good. So staff has done everything possible to minimize that impact by having the easement go along the boundary of the property. And then again, the property is necessary for the proposed project. And that's with respect to the fact that it's not just this property that you need. There are other properties along the line that you have to make and that you have to acquire. And we have been able to acquire all those. This is the last property that we're not going to be able to acquire unless eminent domain is done. So in that respect, certainly since all the other properties are in line with being acquired, if we have a gap in the project and you can't do it because of that, well, that's why this property is necessary for the proposed project. And again, within your findings that you make as a legislative body that would be subject to the conclusive presumption that's provided by California law that you've acted properly. And then I've already discussed the offer required by Section 7267.2. All of that has been complied with. The offer has been provided. Everything has been sent to the property owner at their designated address. According to the Secretary of State, this is a limited liability company. We know their agent for service of process. We understand who the representative of the property owner is, and all these things have been sent to the owner at 2 different addresses. One, the official address with the Secretary of State, and then another address that we had independently. But we've done everything possible to notify the property owner of everything that's going on here. So if you have any questions, let me know. But that's my description of that.
Thank you, Todd. Council, now, do we have a board discussion first or we'll open the
We can open the public hearing and allow them, see if there's anybody who wants to speak.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to open the public hearing. Do we have members of the public online who would like to comment on this item? Please raise your hand. Okay. I see no raised hands, and with that, I am closing the public hearing and resuming our board meeting. Okay, board comments.
I just had one request for clarification. You said acquiring, this is not so much acquisition of property, but the ability to put a pipeline underground.
That is correct. We
It would
would not
be-
be owning underlying property.
It would be both permanent and temporary easements. So permanent easement, they would still be allowed to use the property above it for various uses, but not, they couldn't put a building there, for example. And the temporary easement would only be necessary during.
This is the very edge of the property.
Yes, except where there is an existing fruit stand that, or produce stand that we're trying to go around.
There are other utilities we're avoiding, so it might not be at the very edge. It's in,
As much to the edge as we can be in considering all above ground and underground structures.
And it is currently agricultural land.
It is currently agricultural land.
I think it's
Ish.
right now.
It may be fallowed.
Okay. Fine. I was just curious about this. Thank you.
I have just a comment. In addition to the 4 requirements that our staff mentioned that we need to comply with, this project is very important, as we all know. This is a big interconnection project. When this is completed, it will help both City of Ventura and our Calleguas purveyors to get water during earthquakes and also during droughts. And also, as we saw in the staff report, this is also when City of Ventura did their final AR, they looked at the different alternate project, and this is the least, most preferred project. And this has been certified. And based on what staff said, based on how important it is, I'm fine making a motion.
Yeah, and this board also, while the City of Ventura was lead agency on the EIR, we were a responsible agency. I'm looking to Jennifer to make sure I'm getting the terminology correct. So this board did also certify that EIR as a responsible agency.
Thanks for clarification. I didn't.
Yeah, it was before your tenure on the board.
And this is because Ventura has been able to access state water project
They've been
water.
unable to access.
Well, right. They've been unable to access by any other means, and that they actually are trying to find this.
They're trying to take physical delivery of the water for which they have been paying for 50 years.
So
If not.
that's what we're doing.
And I know that you guys kind of talked about it, but there's still the ability for the landowner to come forward and back to the offer and.
Yes, that is correct. We're hopeful that they would be responsive during this process and welcome them to discussions on negotiating the alignment. If they have any questions, hey, can you move it another 4 feet this way or that way, as we've done with other property owners?
Collaboration would be best.
That would be the best possible outcome.
The fact that you already have attempted to choose the least possible disruption to the property owners, that's quite significant. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll be looking for a motion.
Motion move.
We have a first
Second.
and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Quady? Director McMillan? Yes. Director Pacala?
Yes.
Director Robert?
Abstain.
Okay, and Director Vila?
Aye, the motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Okay,
Up
thanks.
next.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Up next, we have item 8 reports. First up is the monthly status report. And
Yes, so staff will be highlighting items 6, 7, 8, 48, 53, 54, and 72. Some of those are combined. And Ian is going to kick us off with item number 6.
Hey, good morning, or not long yet.
Oh, man. Good morning.
Directors, good evening. Yeah, it's my pleasure if you could advance. Yeah, to discuss the appointments that staff and our board have on aqua committees. The quote up here is from Aqua. It just talks about, I thought it was fitting to talk about the advantages of being on committees. It says becoming active on an aqua committee is the most effective way for members to engage in state and local issues and influence policy and legislation. So that's one of our, or it actually covers a number of our strategic plan objectives to raise the profile and increase our advocacy and effectiveness. And it's just it's a great slate that we have this year. So if you could hit one more. We've got three of our directors are on at least one aqua committee, and President Avila is the chair of the local government committee. Congratulations. Director Quady maintains water quality and energy, and Director McMillan is on agriculture, which I think reflects a lot of the work, Director McMillan, you've done over the last several years of especially building bridges across the state to agricultural folks in different counties, especially in the run up to the DCP and general state water project collaboration across the state. Christine has been on the energy committee. I don't know, permanently. It's a permanent seat.
Been 10 years.
For a long time, but has recently added, or just this year, is new to the Water Management Committee, which I know has been a goal of hers for quite some time. And Dave Peterson, who was just in here a while ago, this morning, was the chair of that committee for a number of years and has stepped down. And luckily, I think we've stepped that committee up. So congratulations to Christine, and then congratulations to Charlotte for her selection to the state ledge committee at Aqua, which is a huge deal. And I think a reflection of the efficacy, everyone's recognition of Charlotte's efficacy since she's been here just for a couple of years and has already been invited to that committee. So congratulations, everyone. It's a big deal for Calleguas's profile.
We have all our bases for local government, state government, federal government.
There you go. Yes, thank you.
I just had one thing, and steal my thunder a little bit when listening to some of that stuff, but we are missing the legal affairs persons in also made.
He begged me not to tell you that.
I would like everyone to give a hand to Walt, our council, for making the
Hide under a desk.
You're welcome, Walt.
Thank you, Ian. Our next up is the Calleguas's representative on the Aqua State Legislative Committee, our Manager of External Affairs, Charlotte Holyfield.
All right, thank you, Christine. Well, as Ian mentioned, part of the strategic plan is to elevate the district's profile, and we do that in different ways, aqua committees and our tours that we conduct. We've done about 25 tours. We counted up last year, so roughly about 2 a month, and we are broadening our base to all different types of stakeholders. And I think too that we want to highlight from December really exemplify that. So we had Sheriff Freihoff visit with 2 city council members from Simi Valley, Elaine Litster and Joseph Ayala. Councilmember Litster is an AWA board member. Since she visited us, she's now been selected as the mayor pro tem of Simi Valley. She's quite a strong supporter of Calleguas. Sheriff Freihoff has just taken a natural interest and really developed a deep understanding of water issues. He went on our state water project tour, jumped at the chance to come back and learn more about Calleguas. So he was terrific to have on that tour. And Councilmember Ayala was excellent. He teaches at CISA and he teaches public communications and strategies, and he was very engaged. So thank you, President Avila, for joining us on that tour as well. They actually took notes when they were out in the field touring around with Julio. You don't see that very often. So that was absolutely great to see.
And what I love about this picture is it looks like Sheriff Fryhoff is actually giving.
He had some things to say, I think, along the tour. So yeah, that was great. We also welcomed Tree People about the following week, I want to say. So that is a 50-year-old environmentally focused organization on greening spaces, planting trees. We've had a partnership with them on a native plant kit sale in the past. Interestingly, they also help implement Measure W passed in 2018 in LA County. They are the watershed coordinator for the Santa Clara River watershed, which overlaps with our service area by about 5.5 miles. And like I said, we've had a previous partnership with them. They too were very engaged and really enjoyed their time here. We plan to go out and see their headquarters when our schedules allow. But again, just showing the variety of people we're attracting to Calleguas because water impacts everybody. And we are going to be doing many more tours this year as well.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
I want to point out that Sheriff Fryhoff is so engaged in infrastructure security now. He asked for a Calleguas hat, and as you see in the picture, he's wearing it.
He's wearing, yeah. Wow, you brought it.
Up in Calleguas.
Yep. And if I may just add, we had two more city council members from Simi Valley here today. We had Rocky Rhodes and Mike Judge. We also had the superintendent of schools of Simi Valley Unified. So again, attracting those broad audiences, and we just need the mayor out here next. So thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Good job.
Our next highlight is on item number 48, and I'm going to spoil something a little bit for the next meeting. At the next meeting, we were going to introduce our new assistant manager of operations and maintenance, but Matt Gomez, the assistant manager of operations and maintenance, newly named, started in his new role on the 1st of the month, and he's going to talk about the next two items, and at the next meeting, we'll embarrass him with his accolades, and introduce him in his promotion.
Pretty blushing a little bit. So thank you. Thank you and good evening. In response to this recent storm events, our focus has been on preparedness and proactive operations. We did pre-storm inspection of vaults and sumps. Operators maintained take levels to adjust and to promote water quality. Emergency generators were inspected and tested by staff, and there was swift response to flooded vaults and fallen tree limbs and a little bit of damage on house number 2's storage shed. The picture to the left is Ivan Guzman, part of system maintenance, preparing to pump out a chemical trench vault that was flooded due to the storm. Above is Lake Sherwood Reservoir. It's one of the facilities that we monitor during the storm events, and sometimes it's difficult getting up there due to the roads.
Yeah, it's situated between Thousand Oaks and Lake Sherwood and accessible only by dirt roads in the open space that it's pretty steep out there.
That's for that one.
All right. You got the next one too, right?
And despite the storm conditions, our teams continue operations. Lake Bard and Wellfield startup was December 4th. Operator season filters and the chemical adjustments, Wellfield startup and chlorine adjustments. And this is all in preparation for Metropolitan's phase 1 shutdown that took place December 15th through the 21st. It was part of their shutdown for the foothill feeder for a 78-inch valve repair and to install a bulkhead, as seen in the lower left-hand picture. Metropolitan's phase 2 shutdown will be January 9th through the 21st, which will be on West 1. And that shutdown is to install new valves and perform a pipeline inspection. So Calleguas will be involved on the January 9th shutdown at East Portal, installing the slide gates. And the upper picture on that is our operations supervisor Julio Reyes and Rafael Medina, operator, just preparing the well field and maintaining the chemicals throughout the treatment plant. That's it.
But can you explain the bottom picture real briefly?
What?
The bottom one.
The bottom picture, that's actually Metropolitan installing a 78-inch bulkhead. So what they had to do on this one to make the repairs on the 78-inch is shut down, dewater, install the bulkhead, and then recharge their system to go back into service. The work is being done downstream of that. Well, they'll make the repair on the 78-inch. They'll do the 78-inch repair, install the valve, do another shutdown, dewater, remove the bulkhead, and then connect the two systems back together. 3 phases, and Calleguas is involved in all 3.
Yeah, so we have 2 shutdowns reflected here. There is a third one scheduled for February.
Yes.
Incredible.
Busy shutdown season. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Last but not least, for item number 72, Tricia will be presenting.
All right, so district staff is starting 2026 off with the right stuff. We did, at the end of 2024, we hosted 2 4-hour writing workshops for our staff. And the feedback I received was almost immediate. I think the class ended at 12. By 12:30, I already had text messages saying, we want more. So I know for some of us, it's been quite a long time since we've been in an English classroom, and English continues to change. So we started with 2 foundational courses that focused on style and messaging, as well as vocabulary and proofreading. So I just want to acknowledge the instructor's ability to make grammar and sentence structure interesting. Steve Belisle knocked it out of the park, keeping our staff engaged and really wanting them wanting more. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful to our leadership that values this training and investment in our staff. It also helps with our professional image as we communicate internally and externally with our purveyors and our staff as well. So we look forward in 2026 to doing some standard operating procedure courses as well with this same instructor and just increasing our ability there. So thank you for letting me share. I'm going to stay here.
Questions?
Bad jokes. Did you?
You gotta say it out loud now. You gotta say it out loud now.
I just think this is a great foundational training. Really appreciate you doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
And Tricia worked really hard to find the right instruction for our teams here, both in terms of having the right content for what we do here, because some of us do a lot of writing and some folks do very little, as well as obviously finding an instructor who was very, very engaging, because not everyone finds grammar as fascinating as some of us do.
I don't think it's that hard to get by. Oh, man. All right. Thank you, Tricia.
Welcome.
And with that, let me go around the board and ask, Director McMillan, do you have any items you'd like to bring up? Director Robert?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Director Brady?
Number 3, 38,
38,
58,
58,
62,
62,
64.
64. Director McCollum?
I have 3 items, 56, 66, 74.
Okay, let's go ahead and kick it off with item 3, which is Metropolitan Water District.
Yeah, my question is regarding the Colorado River State Consensus Agreement. Any chances they're going to make the deadline?
Well, I think by saying it for Valentine's Day, that should encourage love and understanding among friends. But that may not be enough. So there's fundamental differences between the upper and lower basin, and within the lower basin, Arizona seems to be kind of tracking a different approach than the other lower basins. So stay tuned. Most of this is happening in closed session, so I don't really have an informed position other than speculation.
I have a lot of things going on. Thank you.
I did think the Valentine's Day date was inspired.
All right, item 38.
Okay, the question is, next steps, wait to hear from SCE.
That's correct. And we did get our first question from SE, basically just clarifying why there were 2 names in our SCHIP applications. We have the name of our general manager and our project manager. So a quick letter responding that the point of contact is the project manager, Tim Powers. So we're waiting for more questions or next steps from SE.
Very good.
Thank you.
Great thing to note while we're talking about energy is that Calleguas did the first 2 fully electric vehicles.
Yeah, so we are planning on a upcoming presentation about the ZEV requirements and compliance. I don't have an exact date on when we'll be doing that. It does depend on how heavy agendas are otherwise.
Since we're talking about electric vehicles, other charges?
They were working on them today. I suspect they're not fully operational quite yet.
They're not fully operational. I think the first two pedestals have been installed, one or two, but they're not operational yet.
Because when there, I wanted to plug it in, but it wouldn't come off.
Yeah. And we're working with SE. Still not, so. They can also come in and install their meter.
And I think they're gonna be restricted to district vehicles.
Yes. That is the policy, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the policy we landed on when we were talking about this.
Yes.
Until we get a gas pump in here.
All right, and item 58, staff perform manhole and asphalt repairs at the intersections of Hillcrest Drive.
I thought it was 56.
58.
Oh, it's okay.
Hillcrest Drive and Calinda Place, manhole asphalt repairs, what caused that? What was this to have to repair stuff there?
City of Thousand Oaks actually reached out to us and they reported the damage mainly due to water sitting on it, and there was a void between the concrete and the asphalt where water was going underneath. And with traffic driving over it, it just rattled. Just over time, just infrastructure failure. Yeah, staff went out, jackhammered, redid the concrete, paved, and then sealed it up.
Put some more dirt in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just wear and tear.
thank you.
Okay, and actually, I'm gonna go back to item 56 since we're here. Staff completed sampling of wells numbers 12, 17 to collect salt density index data to evaluate particle index and any fouling indicators.
Oh, you're going to come to me. Omar, again, hello. We started the conversation. Just to follow up, once you do the testing for all 18 wells, when will the consultant complete the report and submit to the district?
So it's going to take us about 6 months to complete all the sampling, right? Because we're dealing with the metropolitan shutdown and injection. I would hope that within 6 months of completion of collecting all that.
A year from now.
Yeah, I would say within the next months, we'll have a report by the consultant.
Thank you.
Right. Up next, we have item 62. The Regulatory Compliance Division communicated water quality information for Metropolitan and Calleguas to purveyors by providing water quality maps for Metropolitan and Calleguas distribution systems.
Okay, so I actually don't know what water quality maps means because it's different to me than, I mean, are you extrapolating numbers and
Some of those numbers come in from Met on whether it's fluoride or whether they're nitrate levels. So we provide that mapping data per their zones, where their storage reservoirs are, what their water quality is, and we distribute that throughout our purveyors so they understand.
Okay, so it's actually the parameter list is listed and the concentrations associated with it are there when they're on location in a map that shows the different facilities.
Yes.
I will forward you the maps. So
Okay.
you can see them for yourself.
All right.
That's probably the easiest way to clearly communicate what we're talking about here.
Thank you.
Item 64, the cross connection specialist successfully completed the American Water Works Association backflow tester certification.
Yeah, so I think this is a big deal. Should have you having in-house expertise to go ahead and new monitoring, new regulatory requirements are?
Yes. So as you know, historically, we've had to subcontract out all of our testing, and with the new regulations, it requires a hazard analysis throughout the district for potential cross connections. So with this phase of completing the tester certification, it also allows him to take the specialist certification, which he signed up to do that. So 2 different certifications. You have to become a tester to be a specialist. So he's moving through that pretty quickly. And he's made some great contributions already as far as testing in our devices and inspecting our devices.
How much were we paying for this service before?
Sorry?
How much were we paying for somebody else to come out and do this before?
You know, I don't know. I will tell you, we recently had to get a device inspected and tested, and it cost us $700 for one device.
Wow, so he's saving us a good amount of money.
Save us a good,
I nominate our third coin.
You can run out of coins real quick at this rate.
Inventory change, which should actually, just to kind of relook at how we have either in-house or outside contractors do the work.
That's correct.
Wasn't a benefit to keep going outside.
That's correct. Yeah. The state switched from the state water, Title 17, and they created the cross connection handbook, and that made it mandatory for agencies to try to find licensed people that through the American Water Works Association. And we couldn't find anyone. And even to this date, we are limited. So the fact that we have our own, we're far ahead of the game.
Who is this staff member?
Chris Naster.
Chris Naster.
Naster. Yeah. Chris Naster, congratulations from the board and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is item 66. Staff coordinated 15 interviews for the Water Resources, External Affairs Administration, and Regulatory Compliance internships. A candidate was selected for each internship position, and the cohort of 3 interns will begin January 2026.
Well, that's me, I believe. How do we advertise for this position? How do we advertise for this position? Normally, how many candidates do we hire every year? And it's based on the workload. Do you have at least one every year? What, more than one?
Honestly, the internship program is relatively new. So the last 2 years, we've done 1 intern, and this is our first year doing 3, which we had budgeted for and prepared for. So we have 1 going into water resources, 1 coming into the human resources and risk management department, and then 1 going into the O&M regulatory compliance division. So we're going to have them as a cohort and give them experiences in various departments as well.
And we mostly advertise by participation in the career fairs of local colleges, Oxnard College, Moore Park College, Ventura College, and Cal State Channel Islands.
Yes.
Although the interns themselves have come from, or actually not from, mostly from those institutions. So one is at Santa Monica City College, 1 just graduated from UCSB, and the 3rd is at Calleguas. So we will be bringing the interns to the board to introduce them to you probably at a February meeting.
How do they find us?
There is an intern website that the colleges use called Handshake. And so we have advertised on Handshake, and all the career centers recommend you to advertise there. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And with that,
all the questions?
That is all the questions.
I had one more.
You have one more?
74.
Could we yeah, the general manager provided an S&P tour to the recently hired GIS analyst, which covered the history and purpose of the S&P and visits to the Wainimi outfall, a discharge station and S&P control tower.
Yeah, one of the reasons I brought it up is I would like to go on the tour next year sometime.
Yes, we were talking about doing one as part of a purveyor meeting. We haven't pinned down exactly when that'll take place yet, but certainly the board will be informed. Or you can have your own tour if you'd prefer.
Okay, if I'm not here for Waves meeting, I would like to go one of these meetings, one of these tools when you provide for staff or other.
Okay. I will be giving one for the interns, but I think we'll find a different time for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You want to go over 67?
You want 67? Okay. All right. All right, item 67, on December 16, HRRM staff hosted an all-employee holiday celebration that included lunch and a raffle. 3 employees were presented with service awards for their dedication to the district. Manager of IT, Wes Richards, accounting technician, Julie Shade, was recognized for 10 years, and senior accounting technician, Rachel Jin, was given her 5-year award.
25 years, Wes.
Wes is not here tonight.
Oh,
He took off. Wes is on vacation tonight.
Oh.
We allow him to take vacation?
We do. Yeah, Wes is on vacation.
It's 25. Yeah.
Yeah, Wes is not here tonight, but. But yes, 25 years.
Wow.
He's been here a long time, and he's worn a lot of hats and makes him very, very knowledgeable about the organization as well as the facilities, which is why he's so invaluable as a staff who lives on the premises.
Which is why he's going to be here another 25 years. Take it on 3 days off.
That's why he wants that sweet lake house. All right.
You know, the monthly status report, I didn't give you a number. I just want to thank our general manager, engineer manager, including a construction schedule in our package. It's at the end of the report.
Yes, I did want to highlight that. There is a new table on the very last page that summarizes the status of projects that are in construction with information that Director Bacala requested. If the board members have other input on this, please let us know.
Thank you. Up next, discussion regarding potential changes to the board of directors' medical benefits. Dan Smith, Manager of Finance, and Tricia Ferguson, Manager of Human Resources.
Yes, as the board knows, this has been an ongoing discussion, but I think we're reaching a decision point where we need direction from the board about how you wish to proceed. Tricia and Dan have been doing all the legwork on this, presented at the last board meeting about what their research has shown. As a follow-up, we provided this matrix that you see up on the screen to the board, and the goal tonight would be to get clarity from the board about whether the board wishes to proceed with any of the options, and if so, which ones.
I think that's a great summary.
Long meeting, gonna try to keep it quick.
Yeah, so I mean, as we've shared, there is no one perfect, solution that fits everyone's needs if they offer the district provided benefits. So are there any questions on the matrix on any of these things? I can do a quick highlight or low light of each one.
Do you have questions, comments from the board?
Can you do two options? We cannot. I mean, we can have the district provided CalPERS benefit and one of these other options.
So there is two.
So there would be two, our current one, and then we can pick one of the stipend cash in lieu or the group health plan HRA. And so as you can see from the matrix, the issue with the stipend is that we would not be able to offer the district provided CalPERS benefit. So in that case, you could only have one. We do have directors taking advantage of the CalPERS benefit, so I don't think that is a great fit for where we're at right now. The cash in lieu, that option, the issue with that one is Medicare eligible directors cannot participate. They cannot receive any cash in lieu of benefits. And the group health plan HRA also has some limitations. You must be enrolled in a qualified group health plan in order to enroll in that option, which may eliminate Medicare and Medicare supplement plans, unfortunately. Still has limits for those Medicare eligible directors.
So some of those would basically only cover the non-retired personnel on the board.
Correct. Yeah. And lastly, the district provided benefits are for the director only. The other three options do not have that limitation. That would be open up to directors and their dependents.
Based on the budget allocated by the board.
Correct.
Since this affects board members and we're missing one at the moment, I don't know what recommendation I make, but I would like, oh, there we go. Let's solve this out.
Are you ready?
Everybody ready?
I don't want to proceed without all the board members.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
So, Director McCall, would you have any comments on director benefit options?
You may have missed.
The matrix.
Could you restate?
Yeah, definitely. So we just ran through this matrix. I didn't realize. Oh, okay. Okay,
I had this, you sent it to us.
Yes, I just went through the highlights of each one.
I think the only thing that you missed was you asked if it was possible to do more than one, and sort of, but not really. Basically, the district provided CalPERS benefit, you can have that and one of the other three. If you have the stipend, you can't have any of the other three.
Correct. If you have the stipend, you can only have the one.
Right.
So
those are the highlights.
So we could do, for example, CalPERS for retired directors who are on CalPERS and something like the HRA for the rest of the board who, you know, might be here in the future as well and not be retired.
And I just want to make a comment that this is such a complex situation just because it's not just the current members of the board, but also looking forward to the future members and, you know, all age groups of future members. So it's difficult to set a not perfect combination of options. But
I think that's probably as closest to fair as you can get.
yeah, I think I think that's, you know, don't rock the boat too much, but you know, make sure it's as equitable as possible to all directors.
Well, I don't know how much discussion occurred while I was.
None.
Not much, okay. My thoughts are, well, let me put it this way. My understanding is really we have two options. One is CalPERS, the other one is HRA, correct?
Well, we haven't made that decision on what the.
No, I'm just saying.
You can.
But you could,
Have those
Have-
options if we choose to. The board
Yes.
chooses those two.
yes.
Good.
And CalPERS option, if you are on Medicare, any of the board members, if they're Medicare, only option you have is CalPERS.
Correct.
And for those board members who have full-time jobs, they could be on CalPERS, or if our board decides to have HRA, they could go there.
Correct.
They have those two options.
Yes.
And if there's some board members in the future who are business people, for example, could they also go on HRA if they have their own insurance?
Yes. Oh,
Group health,
If they're
it
on a
has to be a
group
group
health
health plan insurance.
so if they had coverage through a spouse who worked somewhere and had a group healthcare coverage, yes. If they were doing something on the insurance, in the insurance marketplace as an independent, they would not.
Should it exclude sole proprietors and partners?
It doesn't exclude them if they have a spouse doing a group health plan. So they're not necessarily excluded, but if they are purchasing their healthcare independently, it would.
So it appears to me that if we add HRA, it'll give more flexibilities for the board members, especially for those working full-time, and also potentially business people who may come on the board.
Correct.
And I know, talking to other board members, people who are working full-time, they have to take time off on their own, and they have to take vacation time to go to. And it's not fair that they don't have the option of getting some co-pays reimbursed. I personally support HRA and keep PERS.
Great.
I don't know the limit though.
That is
limits.
what we would need to determine if everyone's in agreement that we will proceed with a group HRA, then we will need to draft those plans and also have an amount set by the board and what that is.
That amount at this meeting?
I can share what we found earlier in 2025. So we did survey 30 agencies earlier in 2025 when we first started this process. 4 were identified as offering the HRA option. And these were their limits for a director only.
And those numbers doesn't mean the director is getting that. It just means that they can go up to that much. And if
That accounts.
returns to the district. And I think maybe I use $100 a year in copay, so.
Good for you. Means you're staying healthy.
So would you be bringing this back to the board next board meeting or sometime later?
It will take us time to we'll have to have a legal counsel involved to draft the plan and make sure that we're in compliance with all of the.
But we could bring back admin code changes that lay the groundwork as soon as the next board meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
But we would need the dollar amount for that, or is that something that the board would adopt on an annual basis?
I think it's something we'd probably want to look at on an annual basis. I can see what these other agencies are doing. I think that Santa Clarita has their set and it's just something they just bring up as a discussion along,
It would also
not annually.
compared to their other if they have dual options or if this is just their only option or.
They probably go by the same rules we do, so.
I believe it's an either or.
Could we get a third party cost on those as well?
Third-party cost to administer, is that expensive. We use a third party to administer our FSA, so this aligns with that. It'd be about $5 an account
And then
a month.
I guess the dead drop date to get all this implemented, there wouldn't be, I guess there's no rush just because we'd be working off of the open season. Okay.
We could align with that.
But it wouldn't be possible to, once we agree on something, have a special open season?
As far as CalPERS goes, I don't believe we would be able to make any changes there.
But if we establish this program, board members could opt in as soon as it's established. We wouldn't have to wait for open enrollment. I know you keep calling it open season, but
if you
a hunter in you.
Would be on them not taking our insurance.
Right.
So for like Director Robert, we'd have to check with CalPERS if we could get you out of, if you wanted to take that.
I'm fine either way. It's all kind of water under the bridge, but my intent was so that I could leverage my employment to reduce burden on the districts, but it's not a decision-making variable. It's more just a operational curiosity.
Yes, and future years would all align with the open enrollment period.
And you would need a decision from the board tonight on this number. Would that help or would that be?
It would be helpful. Yes, it would be helpful.
Yeah, the language.
But I don't know that it's essential.
Required, correct.
I'd be more comfortable with a little more analysis. Just because we're not basing this off of anything other than.
And there's no rush, yeah.
Right. I think a direction on, take the first step, what direction we want to go, and then to what extent and to what amounts.
Right. What other information would the board want?
Well, you'd kind of have to run down the variables to make it equitable depending on what options you take and the combination of those options to make sure that, like, let's say we set it at 1,000. That doesn't cover all the copays versus someone taking the full CalPERS. That would be a larger burden on the district. So the value of the number depends, it leads to whether it's equitable.
I'm not sure we can do that analysis.
Yeah.
To try to come up with what's equitable based on everybody's individual.
Yeah, I would
position.
Pick somewhere less than Santa Clarita.
Well, I was going to say equitable depends on the person.
Yeah.
It's a variable. What I was going to suggest was, why don't we pick a number 4,000 and see whether that's a good number based on the research they have done?
I agree. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to make it equitable, whatever we're paying for CalPERS, why can't that be the limit?
Right. So that's, and that's
It's a higher number.
Oh, yeah.
Like 17,000.
If you don't,
I mean, the plans in CalPERS range per month. So there's a low end plan and then there's the high end plan, and 17,000 would be the high end.
Low end plan.
Geez, I couldn't tell you off the.
Even the low end
Be
plan.
around 12.
Yeah, it's probably 14,000, 12,000.
1,000 a month.
I just don't like throwing darts at a dartboard. I like analysis.
I need
but I mean,
better,
can you
I need
do?
more clarity on what you want analyzed in order to be able to bring it back to you.
So like I had said before, I spent a better part of 2 days with AI and I couldn't figure this out. So, but I think there's a few things that we can figure out as far as what are the likely scenarios of employed, retired, and personal business, and then go, if they do, what's the ballpark equitable situation for that individual? And sure, there's going to be fringe conditions, but I think rather than just shooting from the hip.
I mean, considering it all goes back to the district, if we don't use it and I'm using $100 a year, I don't think that should be a big driver, honestly, in my perspective. I think as long as we're, say, underneath whatever the lowest health plan is, that would be fair. As a limit.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wouldn't want to go higher than any of that, of course.
Since they're looking for direction, what I thought was big.
What do you think, Dirk?
Personally, I'm saying
Whatever you
that 4,000 as
You should be getting put
one
in
of the
charge.
comments.
Oh, I thought you were saying not more.
And the
than
other fits in the
CalPERS.
analysis.
Yeah, I said not more than the lowest coverage of the.
Oh, okay, that's
12,000.
fine. That's fine. 14,000.
14.
We'll look at the actual numbers.
I'm still a little unclear on the direction staff is being given, so,
Can we just say then whatever the lowest health plan is, that same number?
So that's the number you guys want to use.
That's what I would.
The
say.
directors want to use.
Rest of the board agrees.
this is an action item and it is agendized as one, so I think there will need to be a motion and a second with a clear action that staff can move forward.
Since there's no rush, my position is to look at some numbers and come back for this specific portion of it. I don't mind moving forward with deciding which direction to go as far as CalPERS and an HRA. But my personal position would be, I like doing analysis and I don't think 2 weeks to get that number is gonna cost us anything, but it may give us a little clearer insight.
I'm just not clear on what number you're looking for, other than what would the comparable cost would be for insurance.
I just don't see how much more analysis we can do when we know what we're paying for CalPERS. And the goal is to stay below that because we don't want to spend more money. If we don't use that money, it gets returned to the district. So there's not a big benefit to holding off and doing more analysis.
I don't disagree with that. I just like it with money and benefits and situations. I don't see the negative to spending, tabling that portion of it to the next board meeting so that I can do analysis. Now, that's my own personal feeling. And if you are comfortable with that, I don't disagree with that logic in this scenario.
You're suggesting that you do analysis, you're not directing staff to do additional analysis?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
Not uncomfortable with my scenario either.
okay. I just want to make sure if we're doing analysis, I understand what's expected of us.
I'm ready to make a motion.
And I'm ready to support.
And I'm able to hear it.
I'm making a motion that staff,
Oh, you're right. It isn't under here. Oh,
It's not really an action.
you're right. It's my bad. It's my bad.
And then the action's gonna be when we put it into the admin code and come back.
That was my error. I apologize.
All right, let's hear a recommendation, Director Fella.
okay. My motion is for staff to change administrative code to include HRA for directors.
Okay.
Okay. And come back to the board for approval.
In the amount not exceeding the lowest CalPERS.
Okay, that is clear.
Amended.
And any analysis that's done and you come back when we do this, we can
change it.
We can discuss it at that time.
Promise.
Hardwire, then we won't hardwire our final number. This will be established as a ceiling in the admin code.
I promise not to have complex analysis. I just want to look at the numbers and make sure that it's equitable for most.
I see us putting that as the ceiling in there and then we can come back and figure out what.
I don't even think
actually going to do on an annual basis.
For the record, I think that's more than enough for that situation, if not too much, but that's not the direction I'm going. I don't like, how about that number?
And as long as you're doing the analysis, do whatever analysis you'd like.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Moving on to item 3, November 2025 financial statements. Dan Smith.
Let me switch presentations here.
26.
We'll see you draw it.
Got a new record.
She most of the way there.
You couldn't see.
All right, looking at the November 2025 financial statements. So looking at the water sales, November was not a good month for water sales. It rained a lot. So overall, our water sales are short by about 3,000 acre feet from where we had budgeted at this point in the year. That does really affect our water revenues when we net it against costs. So we are under budget for that by about $2 million. We make that up in the warmer months as we get into the spring. But at this point, we are a little bit short on the budget for the water. The good news is that we do have savings right now through the admin expenses. short, we're under by about $3 million, so that makes up the shortage in the water. We're also doing rather well with an extra $1 million in taxes and the interest. Really, it's all interest. We haven't really received property taxes yet. Those should be coming in December, but they have even come in December. So looking at the operating income, because of that, we are really plus $1 million. We've brought in income is about $11 million and we're budgeting about $10 million. Looking at the principal and interest, we're still showing some savings as those interest rates drop. So the variable rate on our one debt is actually creating some savings for us there. So that's good news. Looking at the pumping power expenses, really we're under budget when we're looking at the expense through the month of November. So that's good news based on what we had budgeted. And then looking at the utility power, we're still way over budget. And that's still, I'm going to be saying this every time. You're going to hear this one. We ran the plant an extra time this year that we didn't really anticipate the power costs. So you're going to see those utility costs showing much higher than what we had budgeted. If we're going to run it again the following year, next year, we will budget for it a little bit better. Just to kind of give you a snapshot of the power stuff, the pumping power revenues, you can see that we are a little better than anticipated. We're at 44.4% of the budget, 44.3%. So we'll take that 0.01%. Pumping power expense, we're a little under budget, which is what we would like to see. And the utility power, we're way over. We're at almost 87% of the budget, which should be about closer to 46%. Looking at for the month of November, this is where it's going to highlight the fact that the operating revenues, we were short by almost $3 million. The expense, because we didn't sell as much water, we were under by $2 million, but they were still short by about $1 million for the month. But we did have some savings with the operating expenses of about $136,000. When you're looking at the non-operating revenues and expenses, that's really a lot of the interest. We've been doing really well on our interest earnings. So that's actually putting us in the positive. And the capital related expenses, you're seeing that $160,000. We did start purchasing some vehicles this month, and that expense is being sort of reflected in this number right now. So overall for the month, we had budgeted $218,000 in the positive, but we ended up at $434,000 in the negative, and that's really because of the lower water sales for the month. Looking at the cash balances, you're going to see that we did decrease by close to $3 million, a little bit less, 2.8. That's really a reflection of the fact that we didn't receive that one cash payment, that one purveyor paid us late. So it's actually was received in December, not in November. So when I'm showing my balances, we're $2.2 million short. If you add that back in, it's close to where we expected based on the shortness of the water sales for the month. Looking at the ratios, you're going to see that actually, even though the bad month, our ratios are increasing when we're talking about our current ratio, and our quick ratio has to do with the decreasing in the accounts payable that we're having due to the smaller Met bills, which is increasing our ratio because the less we owe, the better that ratio becomes. Debt ratio hasn't really changed. It went down a little bit as we start making some payments. The debt service coverage and the times interest earned is decreasing right now. That's normal for this year. Our debt service coverage through the month of November is 2.05. We have budgeted for the year to be closer to 2.44. Primary reason is we get large chunks of that property tax in December and then April. And so it's going to go down until next month, and all of a sudden it's going to jump back up to being high again as we get all that revenue coming in. With that, we're still in a healthy position. That 2.0 debt service coverage is very healthy for us at this point. So even though it's lower, it's still good. And that's all I have for the financial statements, unless there's some additional questions.
Thank you, Dan. Do we have additional questions from the board? Okay, thank you, Dan. Great work.
You're very close to your budgets.
Doing good. Wish the water sales were a little higher.
We already did item 4. Up next is general counsel report.
Nothing specific. I'm just happy to be appointed to that Legal Affairs Committee again, because this time it's not that it's not always competitive, but this time it seemed to be a little ultra competitive. Some of the longer term members dropped off this time. So in similar fashion to Christine sitting for the other committee for 10 years or something, I'm achieving a degree of seniority on the Legal Affairs Committee.
So you did extra good work.
No. I'm just saying, I'm glad I can be on the committee to know how Aqua council are weighing in on cases involving.
Thank. Okay, up next, we have the Board Directors Committee meeting reports. And just before we get kicked off on that, I have asked our general manager to switch our agenda. I feel like we're duplicating efforts going through all of these committees, many of which aren't regularly reported on. And going back to each director announcing all the meetings that they've attended on their own without us having to jump through those. So
Combine 2 and 3.
yeah, we're combining 2 and 3 back to what we used to do it.
One board member at a time. We go around once.
Yes. Okay. Any objections? Oh, Dan?
So I was going to report because there was a committee meeting from the last board meeting to this board meeting. We did have a.
Oh, and we would still keep committee meetings on here.
Yes, still keep committees, ancillary duties, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
Reports
committee
on
meetings
ancillary
reports.
I came up because we were on committee meeting reports and I was going to report out of the finance committee. We did have a finance committee, and it was a lot of the stuff you actually heard tonight. So in that meeting, we went over in great detail the financial statements where I went through even more detail than what the auditor did. I went through all the individual notes and kind of described what the notes were doing and all the information that's in there, as well as the transmittal letter that Director Percalli got a lot of good information out of. And I just want to point out that there was a lot of changes. This was the first year for that transmittal letter. We made some updates to it. And from my staff, it was Kristen Morgan who did a lot of the work on that. So I just wanted to putting her name out there because she did a great job on that transmittal letter. We also brought up the fixed asset policy as well as the investment policy, where we went over in a little more detail than we did. And that's why they were on consent calendar.
Any questions or comments for the finance committee? Thank you, Dan. Okay, first up is a report of Aqua Region 8 Director.
Okay, so I was going to say committee meetings. I did attend finance committee meeting, even though I'm not a member. I just wanted to report that.
Okay.
And with that comment, I wish that when, one of the benefits I think of being the silent participant is that you can actually accumulate questions. And then when you come to the meeting, share it with us all.
Yeah.
You miss what you said. So we're not very smart now because we didn't get to hear what you were saying. So next time.
Next time.
Okay, I'll go. I guess I'll start. I went to the finance committee meeting on 12/23. Let's see how I jump back.
Right now, we were doing, right now, we're doing it the old way, so, the current way, so, Aqua Region 8 Director.
Soon to be old way.
Okay, so on January 6th, I had a Aqua consultant phone meeting. And then on the 7th today, we had the Aqua board meeting, which we ratified the committee chair and vice chair of the committees. And that's a congratulations to Chair Avila. And I missed the fact that, so what we ratified was President Avila's recommendation of
The other President Avila.
for President Avila to be chair of local governments.
So Ernie Avila is the president of Aqua. And he made sure to let everyone know that we weren't cousins.
So it was his list that we ratified today. And then tonight's board meeting.
Thank you, Director Quady. Up next is JPIA.
I don't think I can surpass the award, presidential award. 3 years and 3 programs. So congratulations.
Up next is AWA.
No meeting since our last meeting.
Fox Canyon GMA.
Yes, there was a meeting on December 12th, 25. I attended remotely.
Thank you. Up next is Metropolitan Water District.
Yes, on December the 18th, I attended the Colorado River Users Association Conference and the Delta Conveyance Design and Construction Authority. And on the 22nd, I had a meeting with Brian Thomas to discuss the Delta Finance Authority's role. And January 5th, we were planning.
Thank you, Director McMillan. Up next is LAFCO, no meeting to report. BCRA,
No meeting to report.
Ventura County Special Districts Association.
No meeting.
No meeting to report. Up next is list of admin code reimbursable meetings. We'll start with Director Quady.
December 10th, the closed board meeting. December 23, the finance committee meeting, and the cost of service meeting 1/6, tonight's board meeting.
Okay. Director Pacala.
December 11th, what about District Number 1 CSC meeting in Moorpark? December 19th, meeting with President Avila in Moorpark. December 6th, GMA TAC meeting. January 7th, today's board meeting.
Thank you, Director Pacala. Director McMillan.
December the 21st, I did training on pricing. On the 22nd, Finance Committee at this headquarters. December the 30th, we had a strategy planning meeting to discuss the incoming management of MWD. On the 2nd, I did cyber training on refund scam on the City Council Oxnard meeting and tonight's board meeting.
Okay, thank you, Director McMillan. Director Robert.
On the 6th, the Oxnard City Council meeting and tonight's board meeting.
Okay, thank you, Director Robert. For myself, since the last board meeting, on the 19th, I met with Director Pacala. On the 22nd, I came into the district for signing documents. On the I can't read my own writing, 29th, I had online training for fishing. On the 6th, yesterday, I attended the purveyor rates discussion. And this morning, I attended the Simi Valley council members and superintendent of Simi Valley Unified School District's tour here, as well as the Aqua board meeting and tonight's board meeting. And let's see, up next is discussion regarding upcoming meetings.
If I could just highlight one thing that's not reflected on the upcoming meetings list, we'll make sure it's on the next one. That's that the Aqua State Legislative Symposium will be held in Sacramento on Wednesday, February 11th. I know Director McMillan is planning to attend. The board had previously suggested that we do some meetings in Sacramento. This would be the most advantageous time to do that because Director McMillan will already be there. Charlotte will already be there. So if, this is the Aqua State Ledge Symposium. It's usually it is a day event, typically in the afternoon, when it'll be a Wednesday, noon to 5 p.m. We would potentially look at scheduling meetings on the Tuesday, Thursday before.
Great. Do we need a count of any board members who would like to attend that?
I'll be out of.
Yeah, you're out of the country. Director McMillan's already gone.
Robert?
No.
I trust the team going.
Thank you. And I'll let staff know if I can go. I have a lot of travel coming up.
I know.
All right. And with that, we have a request for future agenda items.
Upcoming meetings, did we cover them?
We covered those already.
Okay, I neglected to tell you that on January 20th, I plan to attend GM Executive Committee meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Director Pacala. Future agenda items?
We will, be back with some additional action on the HRA as well as future discussion items to further discuss SMP policy issues.
Okay. Board member comments? Do we have board member comments? Okay.
I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead, Director Pacala.
Yeah, I sent an email to Christine about posting our board meetings and also committee meetings on our website. The reason I brought it up is, do we need all the 6 committees that we have? Should we have at least one meeting scheduled for the entire calendar year, one time or 2 times? So that way it's more transparency. People know when it is. It'll help us to schedule our own time. That's what I asked her and also said we'll discuss at the board meeting. So I'm just bringing it up. What do you all think about the committees? We have 6 committees. Do we still need all those committees? do you agree that we should be posting our board meeting dates on our website? And also posting our committee meetings for the entire year on the website?
I have no concerns about posting the board meeting dates in a calendar format. That's relatively easy to accomplish. My concern about the committee meetings is that we don't know exactly when they're going to be needed. And we don't know when they're going to be scheduled. As an example, because of the complex schedules of all the board members here and your many other commitments, both personally and professionally. You know, we scheduled an ENC committee meeting and the first date we could find that worked for the two committee members as well as key staff was March 11th. So to try to forecast on a year ahead basis when we're going to need a committee meeting and that the folks who need to attend that committee meeting from staff and board are going to be available, I think is going to be an exercise in futility.
I do agree with Christine on the portion of the committees. I agree that maybe posting the board meetings can't hurt. But the committee meetings, you know, for example, myself, Director Robert, Director McMillan, with Metropolitan and us with our day jobs, you know, I have a 10-day trip to Pearl Harbor coming up, you know, that just came up, and I'm leaving on the 14th to 24th. I have another travel coming in February, and those are hard to predict. And the way we currently schedule our committee meetings really makes it more flexible to get the participation we need and get the staff and the board on dates that are available. For example, if you're going on vacation and you have it planned, we can schedule it outside of that. Whereas if we plan it ahead of time, then it kind of restricts more of the planning.
I do like that for transparency and to promote visibility to the public. If someone wants to appear, I do see it on our main page in the meetings and events. So, you know, we do have the Rain Barrel Sale Board meeting and there's the Finance Committee meeting that happened. So it is right there. So that I guess is.
It's on the.
It's on the main
site
page
now?
as our meetings and events, our upcoming meetings. So that's nice.
Okay.
It's easy to find if someone is interested, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. It is there, okay.
And it's posted for people to participate.
Yeah, there are, from my perspective, I appreciate time commitments for you when you're working full time. But I see lots of work being done on groundwater storage project with our education and different plans we're doing. I would prefer to have at least 2 meetings scheduled for both water supply, storage, and partnership every 6 months, so that there are standing meetings, and if you don't need it, you cancel it. That's my preference as far as the water supply. And for engineering, I prefer 2 meetings scheduled. If somebody doesn't show, we can have an alternate. Those are my comments about 2 meetings. The others, it's up to the other board members. These are one I'm a committee member, one I'm the chair of the water supply.
Yeah. I guess it depends on who the chairs are, because if those members do have flexibility, then you can say, yeah, let's go ahead and schedule it, 6 months out. I guess you can make that choice. I'm the chair on one of them. I just hate to disappoint, so I hate to commit if I have a fluctuating schedule, but I can certainly do my best to try to identify an ideal date.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's the current way, the way we have it now, it works. And I think if there's a need for a meeting, if you would like more updates, we can request one.
Yeah.
For a committee to be stood up.
I guess I'm requesting 2 meetings for water supply storage.
Okay.
But are you requesting that the date be figured out right now?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that's something staff can reasonably commit to either, because we don't have full control of our schedules with respect to events like Metropolitan. I'm concerned that we would pick dates and just have to move them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would concur that there are committee differences. In other words, some are more fixed than others. So like the engineering 5-year plan, that's like clockwork, but it's still not a fixed date. That's very necessary to have that.
Right.
So there are some of those quick fix committees presented. I think other ones are
Yeah.
issue by issue.
Right, I agree. I guess we both, I'm the chair, he's the member of the water supply. I guess, are you saying we we would like to request to have 2 meetings?
No.
No, you're not?
No.
You're welcome to schedule them as far as staff can accommodate.
Right, exactly.
My first question is.
It's up to you.
What are we talking about?
Well, what you're talking about right now is just setting 2 meetings in 2026 for storage, water supply storage and partnership with the committee. That's all.
If there's something driving that frequency, then I'd be all ears.
Okay.
All right, maybe something for another board meeting to bring up at the end or
Sure.
another comment.
When we're not under 3 hours, we're not 3 hours in.
Yeah.
That's it.
When my wife's gonna kill me when I get home. All right. Up next.
But we will have the calendar showing the board meetings for the year added to the website.
All right.
All right, up next, we have information items. No information items. No, do we have a need for closed session? No. Oh, man, he's blushing. He wants a closed session. All right, with that, our open session is, okay. All right.